Good morning and welcome to today's live show. If you're not tuning into this live, we're not talking about this stuff live, and you're just tuning in to click on this video, make sure to look at the last 15 minutes where we do a little breakdown of each stock that we do cover on this channel. And that would be the SPY Qs, Apple, Tesla, Amazon, NVIDIA, AMD, and Meta going forward. Looking for an interesting day as we are starting to see that bounce. Now something on the SPY that we were noticing. Let's give you a little breakdown right now. Something on the SPY, we got those updated ranges for you. So we got 522.51 to the upside, and we have 517. 13 to the downside here. And what we were paying attention to as of yesterday, we were really talking about if this wants to keep tapering, double bottom, anything like that. Really, we just have to pay attention if this 30-minute MACD wants to roll up. We could be seeing an upward move today. Now, the fact that we are heading up, make sure to pay attention if we do get outside of this pretty quickly, because we might consolidate the rest of the day in order to head higher on Wednesday. So that's something to pay attention to, because 68% of the time we do land back within this zone. So good morning. And as you're trickling in, we're going to just go through here. We saw this flagging on the Qs, and I know my video was pretty fast last night, so I wanted to do another breakdown here, really just looking for that 30-minute to curl up. That could happen this morning, so you really don't want that to fade. That fades, that might be a little bit of a bad sign there, but we can see the structure. If we're able to head a little bit higher, maybe we actually get a reaction up into this area and then we come back down and scoop up like this. We could be getting some kind of cup, some kind of handle in this to then head higher by the end of this week, which ends early, guys, okay? So we got to pay attention to these daily risk ranges today. 448.34 to the upside, and we have 441.18 to the downside. The reason we have to pay attention this week is because it's a shortened trading week, okay? So even though we do have some good setups here, just notice that we will be closing on Thursday, and Friday we actually get PCE while the market is closed. So really pay attention to PCE because it's a very important piece of data. Interesting that that's coming out, when nobody's gonna, or at least most of the market won't be trading it. Now Apple, seeing that fall to lower levels, this actually was up in towards this area before, like 20 minutes ago. Now it's heading down a little bit. So what I'm looking for here on Apple, yes, this is the trade setup that was there, but notice it's on the MACD, got the flatness of the RSI. So this was overall just like a bounce. So it looks very similar to this, and we could be getting another drop. But will that base out around this area this morning? That would be very interesting. But no, that we can head a little bit lower in this if we really wanted to. So what I would probably end up doing here is just kind of connect these wicks and see if we can come down to this area, see if we bounce back from there, see if we can kind of do something like this, set up a triple divergence. Guess what? We'll be right by positive territory. So if we're in this position and we wanted to find a place to get out, I would probably pull up a 15-minute chart here and just say if it exceeds this MACD low, or I could even get out and get back in, right? We can get out in the morning, right? Get out in the morning, see it curl down, curl back up, and then get back into that position, kind of take a little bit of a loss in the morning and then see some kind of gain maybe in the future if that sets up. Now this could double bottom, so we could just see this roll over briefly and roll right back up. Look for some kind of triple divergence here on Apple. Tesla, this is why we do not bet against the daily divergence. Not even that great of news, in my opinion, honestly, on Tesla. I mean, this on the 30-minute looked like it wanted to roll down into negative territory, but I just said don't be playing around with this stuff when you do have that daily divergence. Okay, we saw this daily divergence. You can see it on the MACD and RSI. That daily momentum is going to be strong. All you need is a tiny bit of good news, and that actually happened. Okay, we got a tiny bit of good news out of Tesla today. If you didn't know, Tesla is now giving a free 1-month trial of their self-driving to their buyers. So that's why you're seeing a little bit of a pop here in Tesla this morning, up 3.2%. Okay, so that's why I do not play around when I see divergences. I don't try to take shorts. Yeah, you could have made a little bit here, but look at that. That just probably broke you even, and now it's ripped away. So you got to be very cautious with things like this. And really, it's a lesson to pay attention to multiple charts before you take a trade. Amazon, now that could fade throughout the day. We'll pay attention to that as the market opens in 3 minutes. Amazon about to curl up, possibly in positive territory, so we could see some kind of divergence set up here. Looks like some strength coming. Remember, on the 30-minute, we have a little bit of cup and handle in the recent price action, right? So we have the big cup here, We got the cup. Here's your handle. Now we have even a smaller handle here, and now we can maybe head upwards. So really pay attention to this, but we do have divergence here as well. So if we start to roll into negative territory, that's where you might say, okay, this 2 hour is going to start to struggle, maybe even roll over. And then that would confirm all of these divergences, right? So if we're able to get into negative territory this time, that would be very, very telling that there is going to be probably some kind of correction, some kind of bigger pullback for Amazon. NVIDIA, this is one on the 2 hour. You really want to see if this 2 hour curls over. It's going to be a very good signal that the momentum has died out. Okay, so if this wants to curl over right away, that would be probably not the best news. Maybe come down and test this level of 840 again. One important thing, 950. Remember I said 950 is what you do not want to lose. Look where that closed, 950.01. Okay, we know that the puts are at 950, 930. We know the calls are up in this area and at 950. So if we remain above 950, we can start to squeeze a little bit. And good morning as you trickle in. The 30-minute here, you're just paying attention to these divergences, right? We see the little divergences up here. Now you just want to see, or it's more on the 15-minute, right? But we created this little trend. We started to lose that towards the end of the day here. Let's fix that just a little bit there, but we're still within it at this moment, and we could see that move upwards. So is this a fake out? Now we just break out and go to 1,000. I'm sorry, baby girl's got some tummy issues, but as long as this keeps curling up in positive territory on the 30-minute, we can remain overbought for some time and keep going up. AMD now finally, it was actually seeing a pretty good pop here. Now it's not necessarily seeing that. You're seeing that roll back over. You got to be a little fearful of this structure breaking to the downside. But it doesn't look horrible. I would just say the 2 hour, really want to pay attention if this is actually able to get some strength still. It still hasn't seen that strength. If this wants to roll over here, you could get a divergence into next week, but AMD not getting the best news as of this week, but that's okay. You know, China and all that, but we could just see some strength and come up to this area right up in here around that 190. Meta, the last one really we're paying attention to, gave you those monthly ranges. Remember, all of these are over on Patreon. It's a great time to join. And as the market opens up, we can see some positivity from Meta. What will that do for us? Well, we could curl up this MACD. We could curl up this MACD into positive territory and see a good move here heading upward. But good morning, good morning. Tell me your plays. Get your coffee ready. We got a big day. Let's look at the SPY as we open up. I'm more going to actually pay attention to the cues with this structure here, just seeing if it can complete that cup, get that handle by the end of the day. Or if this is going to be some kind of false breakout, we're going to start to see that kind of robbed here in the morning. Apple, we're noticing breaking down to those lower levels. So we really want to pay attention to Apple, see if it briefly comes down to this point and then pops right back up. That's where I want to pay attention to my weekly ranges on Apple. And we have a little bit of room to the downside. It would make total sense for us to come down to a point and then see that reaction up as far as this week goes. You only have a few days left in the week, so you only have like a couple days after this move happens. So could we see some kind of sell-off and then see that bounce back? We'll have to see, but at this moment, 30-minute crossing, if it starts to break below this level on the MACD, I would start to be a little bit more cautious, but we could just be setting up a double bottom here in the morning before we see that positivity come in. But thank you guys for joining this morning. Really, really appreciate it. Found my MACD was using volume. Volume should be close as tracker. I don't know if I'm 100% understanding exactly what you're saying. Overall, these are the values that I use for the MACD down here. If it's tracking volume, I mean, the only things that you need to know about the MACD for divergences and things like that is it tracks the closing of the bar, not necessarily the wicks. So this, like, right, if a wick comes down, it's not necessarily divergence, but you notice these closing bars are down here. Yeah, I'm just not 100%. Maybe send me an email or something, Dave, and I can see if I can look into it for you. Show me, maybe send me a picture of what's going on or something like that. But Apple here, seeing that go. Tesla starting to head upward, so we can pay attention to the top side range and see exactly how high that's supposed to go. Well, guess what? We already hit the top side range for Tesla here. So Tesla's telling you that this is as high as it's supposed to really go for this week. Right around that 180.92 we've been really paying attention to. Now, the good part about this is if you're able to stay in this area, you do have some pretty good structure if you're able to remain at higher levels to head higher into next week. NVIDIA finally starting to drop off just a tiny bit off this, not the most strength going forward. So we'll have to see if that wants to consolidate as far as today goes. But Apple, the one to really pay attention to here, if this just rejects even here, you still have that another point of divergence down here on the RSI, not necessarily on the MACD at the same time at this point. Is there a bull trap on AMD? This really AMD looks pretty weak. You're getting a lot of consolidation in this area. So you really want to see, is this going to break to the upside, break to the downside? I'm overall just paying attention if it wants to get a positive move for some kind of flagging for this to happen. But as of right now, not looking that good. Crossed over. Good shot that we're actually going to come and test this low unless we're able to curl back up into positive territory. So this here, if it starts to go negative, then I'd be a little bit worried. SMCI, Mara, one that we were looking at, right? This one we said this could start to resist right around this area. This is where we're going to get resistance. But is this just consolidation, right? Is this just consolidating like this to then see a pop higher? We could see that happen. We'll have to pay attention to that moving forward. SMCI, I think I have down a little bit lower. I have it somewhere, but I just don't know. Let's look at SMCI as we open up the morning. I know I have it on my charts somewhere. This thing is starting to rip higher. I mean, it's hard to bet against things like this, especially when the 2 hour, it still has room to the upside. What I would look for is some kind of divergence with this point over here. So if we can find a divergence up in this area like this, that would make a lot of sense. But as of right now, you're just seeing, I'll even look at a 15-minute. You're not even seeing divergences on a 15-minute yet. As far as I know, we got that data drop this morning. And that's overall the only big news that I overall see. I mean, I know Tesla giving that free month to their users, but durable good orders coming in at 1.4, a little bit more than forecast, a little bit more than the consensus on this. So that should maybe be some positivity in the market, and we're probably seeing that in the Qs right now. So I'm going to say bye to my girls real quick. I'm going to leave you guys on the Qs for now. See if that 30-minute is able to go green, able to curl up on the MACD down here as I say bye to my girls. All right, so you guys enjoy yourself. Sip on your coffee for a moment. Make sure to like the video while I am gone for about 2 minutes here. I'll see you in a moment. She's in a little bear outfit. It's awesome. And we're back, and I hear that Tesla is crossing that weekly range, so we do have to be open to Tesla because of a daily divergence. We have to be open to it, you know, holding at higher levels, being able to remain above that weekly expected move. Okay, so we have to be open to that at this point because that day. Hey, hold on, give me 2 seconds. All right, we're all good. She just forgot something real quick. But Tesla, yeah, we would just want to pay attention to this because this is going to be a strong move at this point. You have daily divergence behind it. So this is where it's like, I'm not going to play this daily divergence or anything like that, but you are getting a buy signal. We said there could be a big reaction here. So that's why we don't want to, you know, take shorts on this thing. We don't want to do anything like this. We don't want to short anything down here just because look at that. We have the crossing of the MACD. We see the divergence. We see it on the MACD and our side at the same time. This will have strength if it can get some good news at this level. So solid point to say, like, hey, this thing's been beat down for a while. Maybe I take an investment for a couple of months or something like that. But taking an options play on this, it could have gone either way. But this is just telling you now it's confirming to the upside. So we have to see if that holds. But we could get that reaction all the way up to top Bollinger. We could go all the way up into this area here, which we sold off from last time. We gapped out of last time. So be very careful. But now we have the opportunity to use that upside, that daily or that weekly range as support right around that 180. And there's Apple touching the bottom down in here, not able to close below it at this point. You really want this to reject. So as long as this isn't crossing over, you don't be too scared or anything like that. But Tesla seeing a good pop shows you that the sentiment in the market is still good, right? So it shows you people are still willing to buy in this market. And now we're probably going to see this 30-minute tick up on the Qs. We'll have to see if that actually hits the daily expected move. SPY as well, seeing a little bit of strength in here. One thing I did want to show you guys was the S&P 500 here on this chart, right, on the futures, right? So we see this, look at this channel breaking down, and then we see that pop up. Now we can get some kind of handle in this area and then maybe create the bigger handle in the future. So I just wanted to show you how this was really, really controlled, right? This was very controlled here. And then this here, it looks more controlled. And we saw that break out, get a retest. Now we're heading higher. So that's just what I wanted you to see. And Mara actually selling off pretty good from here, okay? So this 2 hour here, gonna roll over negative territory. Maybe it wants to head lower and then see a bounce in the future, right? So we want to pay attention to, be open to the idea of this coming down to this area and then seeing that react back up. So Mara, one to pay attention to as of this morning, crossing over. Can it go negative? Once it goes negative, hey, test this low, go make a new one. That's the overall thinking with that. Meta still a good reaction up, looking for a little like a divergence up in this area. But AMD starting to, let's see, starting to break down. Okay, so AMD starting to break down. Not the best news for AMD going forward. For a second there, I thought I said AMC. Good morning, hope the fam's well. We're doing good. She's growing real fast, so she's got tummy aches left and right. We deal with a lot of tummy aches, and she has a, she's like not allergic. What is it? She's like not resistant. It's she has a sensitivity to the breast milk at this point, so that just means, like, you know, she could be screaming every single time because her body can't digest it very well. So we're dealing with that right now. So that's why I was so busy last night and I had to just make a quick video. But seeing that pull back would make a lot of sense. See if we get some kind of reaction around that weekly expected move to the downside. I don't know. I actually don't know how far down that is. Maybe I should check that before I say it. So we could head lower. I would look around that 160, 170 level would most likely be where we would see a bounce. But as long as we don't close below this level too, like you're seeing that wick, that's a good point too. We're not closing below here. Really see if this wants to fully go negative before that actually happens, right? It's a negative at this point. If we start to break through, close below here, it starts to add up. Like, we're going to probably test a lower level down in this area. So just something I want to pay attention to. I want to be paying attention to a lot throughout today. And we're going to be live for a little bit this morning, okay? So we can watch this all the way through, see if there's some divergences set up or anything like that. I'm still leaning towards a divergence on the 30-minute here at that weekly expected move. That's really what I've been leaning towards ever since like pretty much Sunday. I've been saying that. Make sure to like the video, guys. Make sure to like for the guy who has to hear screaming and yelling and crying every single day. Lactose intolerant. Yeah, she's not lactose intolerant. She's just like sensitive in some ways. So we have like, it's so funny. She has to change like her whole diet or something. If you like an hourly chart as well, you can probably see this on the hourly later too if it creates that divergence in the future. Tesla just booming with that news. I mean, at least to me, I don't know. What do you guys think? Is a free month trial? Actually, a free month trial is pretty good for that kind of thing. Yeah, thank you I appreciate the sympathy. I do, but it's just something we got to deal with. What happened with Netflix? So Netflix, one that we haven't really paid attention to in a little bit. This is where those divergences can really come in. Okay, so remember it's the closing bars, right? So you could probably still consider this divergence because the high of the MACD comes with this bar, and then we see that come up like this. But look at that, we go way down. Look how significant that is down here on the R-sign MACD. Gives you a good hint that the 2-hour might roll over. Well, let's go look at the 2-hour. What does the 2-hour have? See if it wants to load up here. We do see divergence up here as well, right? We have divergence with the high over here and the high up in here. So now we get that to confirm. Now we have to say, is the daily going to roll over? Well, that's something that we'll have to see if it wants to play out. As of right now, retesting that area that we broke out of. Can this roll over? Well, it's already rolled over. So now you'd be rejecting, which is sometimes a worse sign. Okay, sometimes a worse sign, but know that if this 30-minute here just curls up again, we can see positivity. It's still close to the center line. Look at that. It's still really close to the center line. This could be a retest, but I totally understand if someone took a trade up in this area for a little bit of time. As far as why Netflix sold off, Netflix ratio spread targets a profit zone between 540 and 600. Okay, so maybe that's why. That's just something like that. They adjust their price target from 660 to 555. So that could be it as well. So that came out yesterday where that profit target, that target could be a little bit lower than where we're at right now. But we're not full, like I said, this could just be a retest. So we have to pay attention to the fact that this market is so bullish. And that's why I'm not the most scared of Apple right now. Oh god dang it, I read it backwards. 2660 from 550. Okay, let me make sure I read that right. Sorry about that. Might be a little tired this morning. I woke up at like 4 a.m. I think. So Netflix spread targets a profit zone, but it says between 540 and 600, and then Citigroup adjusts Netflix price target to 660 from 555. Okay, yes, you are right. So thank you. I appreciate you keeping me up there. From Trust Wallet to Robinhood. No, Robinhood is not actually trading the individual coins. Robinhood is doing like a, it's called a, oh shoot, it's not a fiat. It's something like a fiat, but you're trading the value of Ethereum. You're not trading by actual coins. With a Trust Wallet, you are actually buying the physical coins, not trading a value. You're like this is pretty much if you're trading on Robinhood with Ethereum or anything like that, it's just trading back and forth on the actual value of it. I would say kind of like a fiat trade, but shoot, I used to know the name for it when I used to trade these back and forth, but I can't remember at this point. But I can tell you, you're not actually buying coins. You're not buying Ethereum. You're not physically buying Ethereum when you buy on Robinhood. Reddit hitting 7. Oh, geez. Not RDTY. Ooh, that's a big move. That is a big move. I don't know that you could have seen any of this coming. It's like 5-minute chart crossed in positive territory, and then you get lucky. That's what that really is. But I would really expect this to sell off at some point, unless, I mean, this is an IPO, so you can't really say much about it from the technical side, right? It's too difficult to say anything about it. It is risky. This easily could have been, down here today. Could have been down, and this easily could have been down here today, right? This easily could have been down here today, but boom, goes to the upside. So Spot making a nice move as well. Spotify. That's a nice move, but you see that wicking out real hard at the highs here. You have triple divergence. Even with this one here, you have multiple point triple divergence. So, sorry, I'm saying that wrong, but you have a divergence here, and you have the divergence up here in the recent price action. So this could fail. Kind of a sign of weakness that you're wicking out at the top here. But if it wanted to sit up in this area for some time, right, if it wanted to consolidate up in here and hold at higher levels, we could see that bounce up. Look for this to happen, right? If we start to consolidate in this area, you can still see another breakup. Will that actually come to fruition with all these multiple point divergences? I would say the probability is low. Most likely you are going to see this fade all the way back down to this area down here before you can see any kind of further pop. That's just what I would say. But if it wants to remain higher, that'd be great. AMD is still not able to fully close below at this point, so we have to pay attention to that. Apple looking like it wants to go positive. This is why we brought this up this morning. It's not something to fully get scared of unless it starts to roll over, break this trend, break through this level on the MACD. Then you could be like, oh, now I'm going to have to take a loss on this, but not necessarily the worst as of right now. Let's see if these Qs can start to curl up and get a green bar. Let's see. Can you check SPY gap fill to the downside? I don't really play like 1 minute charts or anything. That's probably the only thing. I'm just showing you what I think is really, really important here, and that's if this curls up. If this curls up, we can see that strength. We're getting a lot of strength from Tesla, a lot of strength from a lot of different areas this morning, seeing a little weakness in some stuff as well. So Amazon flipping negative at this point, things like that. You do have that possible double top up in here. Could be a sign that Amazon wants to head to lower levels. But everything looks like it has divergences, but it has the opportunity to head higher. So it's hard for me to take an actual trade on any of this. What I would just say is I'm looking for a very easy setup in order to take trades this week. One of them being if Apple actually does want to confirm and go positive here, I might dabble with that. You have to change up her formula. She's not on formula. She's on all natural. So in order to change the formula, we have to change her whole diet. So that's what we've been doing. And she loves cheese. She's not allowed to have cheese anymore. Mara really breaking down. I just want to see if this is at all within some kind of flagging here. I mean, it looks relatively like this works, so I'm going to leave it here for Mara. And we could see that move extended on into maybe next week or something like that. Let me actually measure this correct. Let me measure this actually correctly. Boom, you can see that move to the, I would say the top side, somewhere in this range, but you'll see the structure if Mara wants to head higher over time. We could be seeing, a big move up like this, and then that comes like that, and you got left over here, you got the head down below, and then you got your right shoulder up high. So you could be seeing something like that play out, but like I said, it's still going negative at this point in the 2 hour. If that's crossing over, that's actually not a good sign, but as you are in positive territory, you always have the opportunity to flip the other way. So it will have the opportunity to go up as long as it remains positive. I think like one more sell-off bar and you're probably going to start to be going negative, and I'd really start to say the probabilities line up with this right here coming down a little bit, but that crossover a little premature at this point. Still within pretty much a controlled selling. And then maybe that just wants to do this, base out, go like that. You get a little bit of a head and shoulders in this area. So that's what I'd pay attention to there. Tesla, let's go take a look at that real quick. My goodness, that thing is just breaking to the upside. Now, this thing does have room to run as it was outside of its monthly. So I want to check where the monthly is. This thing could run all the way up to like 200, 225. Like it could. It would actually still make sense. Now, is that probable? Probably not, right? Probably what's going to happen this week is we are going to consolidate above 180.92 and then see a reaction up, or get some kind of scoop down like this to grab some liquidity in this area at this high in this area. Then we see that go like that. So that's what I'd really be paying attention to today. Solid little signal here, 2 hour crossing up positive, but it's overbought at this point. It can remain overbought because these daily momentums can take over and this thing can just start to keep ripping. But look out for rejections anywhere up in this area as the Qs in SPY are still consolidating, getting very, very tight up in this area. So we could be seeing some kind of sell-off very, very soon. As we do get news on Friday. Okay, we get news on Friday when the markets close. So I'd just be very careful taking trades over the weekend. So hopefully everyone's having a good day. Do we have any plays going on out there that we're really excited about? Who's really excited about this? I don't necessarily see a bull trap on AMD. If anything, they're setting up a bear trap. We just have to be cautious down in this area. It's gotten a lot of negative news for AMD. So this could just be rolling over to head lower. Oh, DJT. I actually looked at the transports and stuff, but the thing that you want to look at here is the fact that we're not making new highs, right? But the Dow itself is. That's usually a big warning signal that there's going to be some sickness in the market. But until that actually, like, rolls over and the Dow actually confirms that, it's not necessarily something to fully pay. You just want to have it in the back of your mind, like, the Dow is setting up this divergence up here. It has divergence all along this right here, broke out of its channel that it's been in for a little bit here, going up into the next point of the next channel. If you make another line with these, it lines up pretty well. But I could see this rolling over very soon, and we just head all the way down to this level. So, but you see that we're making new all-time highs. The transport's not necessarily confirming that as far as right now. And that's a big difference there in the transport. So you just know that the market is overall sick, and that's why you want to be very careful with any trades to the upside. Like Tesla, that is a big, big move. It could definitely go higher, but it's outside of its weekly range. So if you have a expiration this week, if I had expiration this week, that is, I would be thinking about taking a little bit of off the table on that one. Oh, Apple actually about to go positive here. So this is what I'm really going to pay attention to. See if this can break through, give me some kind of head and shoulders, right? So I'm going to pay attention to this level right here, see if it's able to consolidate around there and head higher. And then the other bullish thing that could happen is if this gaps up above here, in one of these few trading days. Wait, you give the reconnect with the 5 as one of 5 reasons to take a call on Apple. Well, reconnect with the 5. Let me see what you're basing this off of. Well, as of right now, Apple not necessarily reconnecting with the 5. Right now, you want to be worried about any rejection to the 5. Okay, so when you do come down, and we haven't come to bottom Bollinger, so that's not necessarily happened. Notice we come out of the Bollinger, right? We come out of it. The 5-day was sitting above us. It caught up just a little bit by the next day to this bar, but now it popped out even more. It consolidates a little bit sideways. Then we see that test. We start to see a little bit of a pop here. As we come up into this area, we see us sell off. We haven't hit bottom Bollinger, so you're not guaranteed like a test of the 5 necessarily. Happens like 90% of the time when you hit bottom Bollinger, but it hasn't hit that yet. But this could be a higher low, and we could see some kind of big move happen like this, and then we get rejected up in this area. So that's really what I would see happening in the future. Apple seeing some strength and then getting rejected up in that zone that we paid attention to for so long, Armando. What do you think about? Let me see if that actually wants to go. I gotta read the what do you think about DJT stock? I just think that really I would pay attention to it as a range at this point. So if you're trying to, say, trade this or something, I'd be cautious because this thing isn't necessarily moving up like everything else. You just want to see it's in a range, and then we want to see a break of that range. Now, what you can do, and a lot of people do, is they just trade the top side, they trade the bottom side, so they'll buy, they're short up here, calls down here. It's definitely a thing. Oh my god, I'm so stupid. Oh my god, I'm so dumb. Okay, yeah, this one here, I actually looked at this morning. You can blame this on the 3 hours of sleep. But the downside here is you do set up a divergence with this. So you could be setting up a divergence with this as of right now. This could fade. But this is stuff that's very, very hard to short, in my opinion. So I don't necessarily go with things that just have gapped up insanely. I don't necessarily have anything to go off of besides a couple things here. Now, there are reasons that you can take a trade. It's just, how many can you find? Well, we haven't gotten confirmation of a curling over of the MACD on the daily. We can get that retest to the 5 because we're way outside of the Bollinger Band, but will that just move sideways for that to happen? That is a possibility you have to be open to. I don't have a weekly range for this at this point, so that's something I need to know as well. But I can tell you right now, this is going to be outside of the weekly range, right? This is going to be outside of the weekly range, and maybe we do want to reconnect with that 5 before we head higher. Test this level up in here as the 5 starts to catch up. Maybe we just see that kind of consolidate like this before we head higher. Sorry about that, though. Oh, it used to be wait, DWAC. What's the Trump stock? Is this isn't the Trump stock, is it? I don't think NVIDIA could hit 1,000 this week. Yeah, I was kind of trolling. I think it definitely can. I actually think it definitely can. I'm not saying it has to, or I'm not open to it going lower, but just because it's not really showing a lot of weakness. Yeah, it's showing some dying out in momentum, but all it needs is one bullish thing like Tesla, another little bullish thing, and then this thing goes boom for 1 second and then fades right back down. So if you're part of the Patreon, really good time to join the Patreon, especially as we approach 1,000. I can tell you that weekly expected move for NVIDIA is somewhere up in this area. So hop over to Patreon if you do want to see that, where that range actually sets up. And then look out for our video that we'll put out on Patreon, most likely tomorrow or today if we see some setups going on into the middle to end of this week, and see if we see anything that could really pan out to the upside. Now, Apple actually going positive at this point. So this is what I was telling you about Apple, really just trying to double bottom down here, something like that. Remember, I just said that really before 30 minutes, like I think it was like an hour before, Apple was actually trading up here an hour before the market opened. So that was what was interesting to me, is that it just randomly saw this happen. So that was just interesting. So I wasn't necessarily the most fearful here. Is the Trump DUI merger opening today? Oh, okay. But yeah, I remember when that came out and I was like, yeah, I'm not going to trade anything around this. SMCI over 1,000 again. That happened yesterday, but... Curls up, positive territory, curls up again, positive territory, more positivity. Now you have a little divergence on the RSI, though, so this might want to consolidate for a little bit here. We'll have to see what happens with that. Mara, let's see if this is starting to break down. Not necessarily seeing it break down too far at this point. Want to check a 15. No real divergences or anything like that, but we're still within this like controlled selling is how I would put it. So just be aware of that. Let's bounce around, look at Microsoft and Google as well. So Microsoft was one that I really believe that this has one more push left in it. We'll have to see. Cup, maybe handle. Also, you'll see a head and shoulders with that as well. So it's good when two setups are there at the same time. Google coming up into a point here where it really wants to look like it wants to break higher. So if this thing wants to break higher, hey, that's perfectly fine with us. We'll just look for something up in this area for some kind of divergence. So Google, something that once I hit 100 people on Patreon, I'm going to add Google and Microsoft to those risk ranges. So if those are two that you guys pay attention to, I can do that for you. And then I'm going to add a third one once I hit 100 people on Patreon. That will be up to you guys. So we're going to have a vote on Patreon, what stock you would like to do. Maybe we could do, DJT. Maybe we could do... what's another one, like SMCI? Maybe we could do one of the popular ones, Mara, things like that. But Mara mainly just probably going to move based on Bitcoin. So it's surprising to me, but Bitcoin Seeing a little 30-minute divergence. I really like 4 hours when I'm paying attention here. This thing's just been going up for quite some time. Now, I was paying attention to this on the daily scale. Bitcoin here looks like it could roll up in positive territory. I really think Bitcoin has a good shot to hit like 80,000 or something like that. So be paying attention. We could be seeing this just blow off at the top here and then see that ripped away when people start to talk about it's going to 100K. But strong bars getting a close above the 5-day moving average a few times now. If this just wants to curl up, you're going to see some prolonged positivity. Maybe it even hits 90K. Maybe it goes to 100K. We just have to pay attention to the signals, but we might be getting some kind of divergence up here that kind of hints like, hey, this did just die out. So if we're not able to hit this trend again, then we might be tapering off a little bit, and that could set up some trades for you. We could get the left, right? We see this down here. We could get the left. Now we come up, we make the head, then we make the right shoulder. See that head and shoulders break Bitcoin down. At these all-time highs here. Yeah, I know. I know. Yeah. I didn't do sorry about that. I'm a little slow today. Woke up at 4 a.m. again, so keep me honest though, guys. If I start talking about stuff, I start messing up, people say good morning GM and I go check, General Motors or whatever. Yeah, just keep me in check all day. Tesla did cross the weekly. Now we have the opportunity to use that as support. So it's still seeing that resistance at that 180.92 level. As of right now, we could see a little bit of resistance in this little area here. But this is pretty good, guys, right? So we wanted structure to head higher. The 2 hour, we might need to consolidate is all I'm saying. But this could be left. Now we have the head. Maybe now we scoop up, right? This is the cup. Maybe we create that handle, which also gives you that right shoulder. That would be pretty good news for Tesla going forward. What I would say about Tesla is really just look at the 30-minute here, and you're going to see it's up in positive territory, right? So if this wants to curl down, see if that wants to curl back up. If we consolidate for a while and you see that cross on the MACD, most likely a positive move coming, and it might be a pretty good one. So we'll pay attention to that. Probably going into next week, we'll pay attention to that more so. Is it me or does this is not bearish at all? You want to be very careful looking at bearish on the 15-minute. I'm not seeing that at all. This is just strong. I mean, if you're saying overbought, possibly, but really zoom out on the things. The daily is going to be way more important than a 15-minute at this point because it's just starting. This is like waking up the beast. Right, you just woke up the beast and now this thing can rip higher. Maybe it even does this. Maybe we see a prolonged move out of Tesla. We have to be open to all scenarios in a market like this, even though the Qs look like this. So am I leaning towards it? Not necessarily at this point, but I have to be able to trade like water. I have to be like, hey, I might think that the macro side that we're going to drop in the next 6 months, like over the next 6 months, but that doesn't mean I need to be a diligent trader and trade the price action. So we're coming up into the area where we could see that first line of resistance, right? So this is where we can set up that head and shoulders in this area. So the fact that we didn't get it here, well, guess what? Cup, handle, now we head higher. This is the area right here where we kind of want to see, does this just break up, consolidate throughout today, and then we see another positive move. But I am loading up on the coffee. I had coffee at, I made coffee at like 6 a.m. But it's hard. It's hard to like even sleep when she just cries every 2 hours. Her tummy hurts, and it's not her fault, She's just trying to learn how to work her stuff. Apple able to see some green now, able to go green here. So this is really what I'm paying attention to. Maybe even zoom down to a 15-minute. You'll see that wicking down here, cross up positive territory right next to us. You do have multiple point divergence here as well. Boom, right there. And then you have right across over here as well. So now you can probably see a pretty good move from Apple going forward. My kid does the same at 2 a.m. Yeah. And just because we just moved here, so we have a little bit smaller of a place than usual. And she's just very close by me all the time. So it's just like I have to hear all of it. So usually I can pass out pretty good. But then it can come right back. So NVIDIA just consolidating at this level, I would say. I'm not seeing anything to really worry about. I can't tell you if it's a mistake. Here's the thing, Wallace. We look at technicals to get probabilities, but no one in the world, unless you're like an insider, unless you're Nancy Pelosi's husband or something like that, knows which way a stock is going. We just look at momentums dying out, the probabilities, the risk to rewards. And right now you have to say, even on the 15-minute, yeah, we do have divergences up here, but they're not that significant, right? Now we could get a significant one soon. We could see a little pop higher and then see that drop, but you have to be very careful. As long as we hold above 950, you have the opportunity to see this squeeze. Okay, so like just make sure you know that. Nobody in the market knows exactly where NVIDIA is going, but people will, like myself, we will say things that are telling you like, hey, there's a high probability that this week NVIDIA does go to $1,000. That's all that we are saying here. Now, does that mean you should even take a trade? Well, it's at 952. You're seeing divergences. You might have missed out on the overall move. We were talking about NVIDIA with this 2-hour crossing. Imagine if you took a trade there and took it for a couple of weeks. Well, then you would say, okay, this was a good trade, right? So 2-hour crossing in positive territory. That's where we see positivity. It crossed right on this bar right here. You get in at 900. Now it's all the way at 952. 50-point move in just a few days. That's probably a pretty good trade for you at this point. Now you're starting to flag and head higher. Look at this, flag, head higher, flag, head higher. We see, okay, here, I'll do like one line, that way I can delete. Flag, head higher, flag, head higher, flag, maybe we head higher again. So really, if you want to trade, this is a bullish thing, right? This is a bullish trend as of right now. So if the 15-minute wants to curl up again, good shot it's going to start to break this high. I think if the 15-minute curls up one more time, we're taking out this level right here. We're probably taking that out, heading towards my weekly expected move. That's all I would say, but that's a probabilities thing because I'm in positive territory. If this crosses above the center line, this is already above the center line. If that sees some strength here, we have some consolidation. Boom, you can start to head upward. So right now, you're seeing that consolidate. It's going to get tight, and then we'll have to see what happens. So if you're paying attention to downside, we just pay attention to the 2-hour again. If this 2-hour crosses, it'll probably cross somewhere around 930, and then you know that the calls are going underwater above 950 and above 930, so therefore that can pile on towards the end of the week. We could see this drop off pretty significantly, and then we have to pay attention if that actually goes negative because you did set up a divergence up here. So it is a good shot that we see another push higher, but there's divergence here. I'm not saying it has to. You have this here, so you have the potential for double top. We could see that roll over into negative territory. So there's different probabilities for different time frames, and that's where we talked about Tesla curling up. We said if this 2-hour wants to actually cross up, it's a good sign. Guess what? It went barely green right here, giving you a little hint that the momentum could go upward. And then the other thing you look at daily, well, we have a divergence down here. So the probabilities are higher for Tesla to bounce from this level, right? That's all we were saying. It's very high to bounce from this level. And last week, we saw trade setups that said it's going to have weakness right here. Look, it has a little bit of weakness, but then that's bought right back up because the daily momentum is stronger. So that's why it's like if you're looking at certain things on 15 minutes, like you're going to say, oh, this could be bearish, this is bad, but I don't see that at all. If anything, this is just saying very simply low, high, higher low, higher high. So that's just telling me it's in a positive trend, which means for me, if I want to be a smart trader, I just trade that positive trend all the way up, look for those crossings on the MACD. Let's see if this was able to cross. Boom, tiny green bar right here on the histogram for the Q. See if that can remain for a little bit. Maybe Apple's able to see some further strength as it's kind of struggling right around breaking even for the day. One thing we could look at is max pain. Let's look if anybody's piling on some puts or some calls for NVIDIA. That would be good to pay attention to this week. And we're seeing NVIDIA actually a huge call wall at 1,000. Huge call wall at 1,000. call wall at 950, and then a put wall at 930. So no put wall at 950. 930 is the level that you want to pay attention to for NVIDIA if we start to break below. So this is where I would just really watch this MACD on like a 15 minute, see if it breaks this little trend here. That would be a first bad sign, but wait for that 2 hour to fully cross over. It can take time, and a lot of the time, the 2 hour likes to have a 30-minute divergence, okay? So you do have those divergences on the RSI, but not the MACD. So I would treat this as some kind of short pullback, even if it broke this level, and see if that curls up, because we could get this to sell off, and then it just curls right back up, and guess what? Boom, we see that big move upward. Like really, it's like positive territory. If you see a positive trend starting, it actually is way simpler. And we talk about this on the course, which the course is still 50% off for this week. And we're seeing some people trickle in and get it. People are really, really liking it. I really appreciate the feedback people are giving. And overall, it's, very important what this center line is. And we talk about it, and boom, you see every time it curls up, positive territory, curls up again, positive territory, curls up again, positive territory. Isn't able to curl up here. So what happens? We don't even test the wick up here. Okay, so it doesn't curl up. What happens? Doesn't test the wick, doesn't test the high. Now, if this wants to curl up here, then I would say it's probably going to test the high or go make a new one. And we know where our weekly range is over on Patreon. And now we know about NVIDIA that 930, okay, 930 is where the puts are. 950, just above us, right where we're at right now, is where the big call wall is, but the bigger call wall is up here at 1,000. So who's to say it doesn't just rip past 1,000? Once it does, be careful, because that could wick out pretty dang hard as it does get above 1,000 because of all these people that might start to take profit. So just pay attention to that going on into the end of the week. Took advantage of your 50% off till the end of March. That's right. It's only $100. I wanted it to be very, very affordable because I believe that the best thing I can do to make this channel helpful is to give you guys the courses I took that compiled all this stuff, and then I took the pieces that I really put together to make myself successful and just put it in my course. I can tell you I took somewhere between $2,000 and $4,000 probably worth of courses and watching watch lists and doing all these things. So that is a big amount of value there for $100. I'm a very big believer. I'm a marketing guy as well, so I'm a believer, and I should at least give you 3 times the amount of value. I can tell you that course, it's $100, and if you really take it for you're going to really learn from it, you're going to utilize it, you're going to watch it multiple times. I keep it very simple. Trading should be a little bit simpler. You don't need to overcomplicate things and convince yourself of things. You just need to be patient, wait for the setup. We talk about mentality. All that stuff is just great. NVIDIA is rolling over. And remember what to pay attention to here. 2 hour. If the 2 hour confirms, we can start to see lower prices. Okay, that's what I'm overall saying with this. The daily is going to reject if that 2 hour most likely confirms. So it is doing that as of right now, but we still want to pay attention in the short time frame to this 15-minute, because if we're just consolidating, so what you'd like to see to the bear side here is some dramatic selling. And Dave said it's well worth it. There you go, Dave. I really do appreciate you saying that here on the live stream. That is very, very nice, especially as people only have like 5 days left to get it. So you have 5 days to get it for $100, then it goes up to $199. But the overall value of it, I would really say, and my dad wants me to make it like $1,500 or $2,000, and I'm just like, maybe one day. But right now, with how awesome my community is and how much I just want to be helpful, I just really want you guys to be able to get that, because I do believe that it is really helpful, because it's everything that I learned that helped me from other people compiled together, and everything that I see the most valuable. So very, very good course. Now for NVIDIA selling off, right? 15-minute, still positive, okay? Be very, very careful. This starts to go negative, we can talk. This starts to see some selling come in it, we can talk. But until it breaks through that 930, I'm not going to be that worried. Increase the knowledge and profit potential. That's right. Imagine $100 is all it costs for you to make your next $1,000. Just make you a little bit better. That's overall how I see it. Now, so you just really want to see if this just curls up one more time, guys. It's probably going to be a positive move. We're probably going to come test this up here. So just pay attention as we go forward, because even though we're making a just, is that lower? It's just pretty much dead even. I wouldn't consider that a lower low. Now we can see that this bar fake out, and then now we're going to start to head upward. Oh, eBay. In Rumble, I've thought about joining Rumble instead of YouTube, and I will, Polly. I will look at eBay in a moment. This solid move. Let's see if we could have seen anything in here. Oh, look at that. Okay, 2 hour crossing up positive territory, completing the cup. Maybe we get this head and shoulders in here, right, left, head. If we consolidate like this, pick up this liquidity in here, right shoulder. So that's something to pay attention to with Rumble. Now the 30-minute, I want to see if we could have got into this at all, if there was anything that really gave us a hint, and I'm just not seeing too much at this point. So at this point down here on the MACD RSI, based on my trading strategy, I wouldn't have seen much here. But what I can do from my strategy now, because I took that course and I know these things, is curling up, could go positive here. This could be seeing a pretty dang good move if it is able to curl up into positive territory. So what I would do for myself on this is just connect a line here. I would go like this, right? See if we're able to hit that point again. Okay, see if we're able to hit that point again. If that 2 hour sees that continued strength, we could come all the way up into here and then see that divergence kind of make us at least consolidate, maybe get triple divergence, something like that. But the 2 hour here, you're seeing that curl up, positive territory. Very good sign that we're going to see some positivity. Now, if I go zoom out of this, maybe to a daily scale, this might look a little bit different. We might be seeing, this divergence here actually did confirm, and it's pretty steep. So you'd have to say if this does roll up and get a lot of strength, that can fade really fast if the momentum isn't able to play out to the downside. So you just want to be a little cautious, maybe on a 30-minute or something like that. Just say, hey, if this is able to maybe reverse, probably I would say if it breaks below like 745, then I'd be like, maybe not at this point. Maybe I want to get out of that at this point. So eBay, let's start off on a daily. Let's see where this thing is at. And we're seeing a big pop. We're seeing a big pop, but we're starting to curl over. What I would say for eBay at this point, because you're above the 200, you can treat it more as a swing trader. We could see if this just consolidates. You notice this too, the Bollinger Band's starting to get tight again. So another big move is coming, but you want to see, does that break down a little further and then curl back up into positive territory? So see if it sells off even for a few days here. Maybe we could look at shorter time frames, and the 2 hour might be our big hint here. So if the 2 hour is able to roll up positive territory, I know this is kind of curving down, right? You see it curving down, but this looks like controlled. It's controlled at this point. So if that curls up positive territory, then you want to look out for that divergence. Once you see that divergence starting to form, that's when you might be like, hey, I might need to take profit. So eBay, I don't have a weekly range on or anything like that, so it's hard to give you a target, but this is by the center line. If it's able to curl up on a 2 hour in positive territory, boom, we can see that move higher, but will that be ripped away very soon? Because eBay's looked a little bit weak on this daily for some time, right? It hasn't really built back up over time. Can we get to 60 likes, chat? I have $10 calls for January 2026 on Rumble. Hey, yeah, that's perfectly understandable. I totally get why you would want to take that trade. It makes sense. I'm just someone who probably would wait a little bit longer for that 2 hour to confirm. But if you're saying it's a good investment into the future, I know YouTube's been having a ton of problems. I know that, like, for some reason, my video was demonetized twice now, just because I showed a piece of like a YouTube video or played a song for 10 seconds. And I think that's just kind of ridiculous at this point. But YouTube also takes like half of the money whenever I get a donation, which is kind of insane. It's like they make so much money already and they rip it away from a guy like me who's a smaller channel. So there is, if you want to donate, and I appreciate you guys super chatting. If anyone wants to super chat, get me to look at a stock or anything like that, we do that a lot of the time, where people do a super chat and ask to look at a certain stock. You can also just donate to my PayPal, which is a link down in the description. And you guys know, I just appreciate any time that anyone's willing to give me their hard-earned money for me to buy a coffee or anything like that. Really do appreciate that. And thank you to Morris. You just bought the course there. We got Dave sending me messages. I'll look at that in a moment. We asked on Patreon if we might have wanted to see some. I'm going to look at maybe over the next month or so, looking at the ability to set up, some one-on-one work with people for a cheap rate if you're part of the Patreon. That's overall what we're doing. But I got to get wifey to set some of that up, so I'm a little more organized. And we see Marina also getting that. So Marina, thank you so much. Marina G, thank you so much. I know you've donated to the channel too as well, so I really appreciate that. But Marina, Alan, Morris, thank you guys. I really hope you like the course and take it multiple times. I know that it is very, very good to look at the market a little bit more simply. But I do appreciate you guys buying that. We just have to see NVIDIA, right? We heard some comments saying right away, oh, now it's selling off. Well, not really at this point. We could just curl back up positive territory. The signal you want to pay attention to, 2 hour. When this crosses, it might be game over for NVIDIA. That's kind of why I said goodbye NVIDIA at the beginning of the week. I was like, goodbye NVIDIA, because once we actually go to 1,000, then I believe that we might see this rug actually pulled. AMD still not able to fully close below. Meta not able to fully curl up on this 2 hour. I'm looking for that small 2 hour divergence up in this area. And Apple's still sitting kind of even here. So if you're an Apple fan, you really just want the 2 hour to curl up this way. So that's where it's like the market's a mixed bag. We have stuff that's beat down, and then we have stuff that's moving higher. So it's just there's a lot of different things going on, which is actually great for a trader. If you like to do things to the call side, you have a few stocks that are maybe giving you setups. Even Tesla down here gave you a little daily divergence setup if you wanted to take a play on that. And then to the downside, you're seeing things like Amazon and things like that might be setting up something in the future for some downside. Okay, so there's kind of multiple different things going on, which is actually a good thing for a trader. Let's just pop over to the SPY real quick, see if that's able to curl up on this MACD. Not as of just yet, not yet, but it looks like it might be coming. But how funny would that be if we get kind of a dud day most of the day, and then we see a strong bar at the end that keeps us within these daily ranges, and then we just gap higher tomorrow? That is a possibility. Awesome to see a few people go grab that course, and thank you, Dave, for telling me you had a good experience with it. And this weekend, we need to talk about the course again, just because this weekend I will actually be putting out that video. Oh gosh, it's skipping my brain who asked for it, but more on the when to get out of a trade side of things, which we actually talked about live with the person who asked. But I think that is a very helpful video. I know we talked a little bit about like how to get out of the trade, but he was like, if I could get a more specific video about that, I'd really appreciate it. SMCI should follow suit with NVIDIA. Very, very true. SMCI should. This is one, if you're part of the Patreon, we could start doing weekly ranges for this. Once I hit 100 people, I'm going to add a few more to the Patreon for those weekly expected moves. SMCI being one of those possible ones that we're going to vote on Patreon. Pretty much, I'm just seeing, the reason I'm doing that is because I need to see if I can, once it's at an amount where I can dedicate more time to it. I keep coming back to listen to Baby Girl's Sound of Music. Oh God, baby, are you talking about her crying? If you're talking about my baby girl's crying, it's not music to my ears anymore. Do you think Tesla? I think Tesla consolidates here. I genuinely do. I think Tesla consolidates here. So on a 15-minute, I would really like to see consolidation above 180.92. Remember how good 180.92 was to us with these rejections, right? Rejection. We zoomed out in the past to show you guys why this area is important. We've gapped above it before. We've used it as support before. So 180.92, pretty important. I would really like to see it consolidate. And on NVIDIA, that's really what we're talking about. IAX, we really want the 2 hour to cross over to see that confirmed negativity. At this point, I'm not convinced until if I see that 2 hour cross, I can be convinced a little bit. But as I know this market is very, very trappy, I just want to be open to this 15-minute rolling up into positive territory one more time. So we could come back and grab liquidity in some certain areas. Right now, you're hitting that gap support way back in the past. You're in a little point where you did get a little pullback, so you have a little bit more liquidity here. We could do something like this and just see that reverse. So really wait for that 2 hour to confirm. But as of right now, I would just say, you know, we have to say this is still positive, and this could be some kind of continuation in the positive trend. I'd say if it breaks this low, though, then you probably know, like, hey, yeah, here's your high, new low, set up a new high, a lower high, that is, and then we start seeing this happen on the way down. I put on that point 182.90 for Tesla. And that's not terrible thinking, right? I would say now you can use the weekly range. I think it's somewhere up in here. If we consolidate down to that area and then you see that reaction, just be very careful with that because you could get another positive move because that daily divergence is behind Tesla. So the momentum to the upside is behind Tesla on this upward move. So you got to be careful shorting things like this, as it could just pull back into an area and then use that top side of the weekly range as support to go higher. So you want to look for things in a positive market that are in a positive trend and see if they can curl up on their MACDs to the upside. That's overall what I would say. Apple, similar thing here, right? We have a multiple point divergence at this point. This is actually a good sign. You're not coming behind this under this low, so you're tapering here, tapered here. Now you're starting to taper a little more. Now we can maybe see that positive move, see if this 2 hour wants to curl up into positive territory down here on the map. Rumble is the YouTube killer. I genuinely, if Rumble could update their iOS a little bit, I already have a Rumble account, and if you guys like Rumble, I can post to there if a lot of people are on there, but for now, I'm just like, you know, YouTube makes the most sense. I do like using YouTube. I have premium and everything like that. Big drop in the Qs. That's going to be anytime that you see NVIDIA drop, you're going to see the Qs drop pretty dramatically. So for the Qs, now we're not confirming that move higher. Okay, we're not confirming that move higher, but was this enough to give us a touch up here to get a right shoulder? That's really what I'm wondering. Maybe we retest and then see that move upward. We just got to see if this actually wants to cross, though. How much do I have to know? Nothing. Actually, the stocks will teach you the very simple way that I treat the MACD. It'll teach you things that a lot of people don't talk about on the MACD. Right? A lot of things that we went over on the course, I feel like people don't talk about in their courses. And I just noticed that and I added that value. So this down here, this up here, we talk about RSI in a similar way, this up here, this down here. We talk about having things at the same time, when to know to take a trade, how to find those reasons to take a trade. All of those things are in the course. You can literally take it as a beginner. Join the Patreon and message me a couple of questions, or, you know, we're going to set up those one-on-ones. So I feel like NVIDIA will drop down to my balls by the end of the week, especially with PCE. And that is true. We need to see what stocks look like before PCE. Right now we're down 1%. I would just say, ooh, if this low gets taken out, you might start a downtrend here. So we have to pay attention to that moving forward, but it's giving you the signals. See if the 2 hour can really curl over. You still got some time left for this to buy back up. Let's go look at volatility, something we haven't looked at in a little bit here. Wasn't able to set up that divergence just yet that we want. I really want this to just do this real quick move. We see a pop in stocks and then we see volatility come back in, you know, maybe with PCE. So it's important to look at what these stocks are looking like before. The dollar starting to curl up, 2 hour positive territory. We could be seeing, you know, a little bit of a sell-off here this morning. TLT, one thing I'm paying attention to, look at this. 2 hour divergence possibly. So you see this by the center line. If that rolls down, we can go like this, set up that 2 hour divergence. Yeah, the dollar's what I just clicked on when I saw it's at 0, but it is technically green at this point. Apple still just waiting for this thing to curl up. Okay, so let's just pay attention to the Qs for a moment. See if this is able to hold up in this area. This would be fine. Remember, it would be totally fine if I could totally see this just go sideways the rest of the day and then see some kind of pop at the end of the day to just say, oh, there's a few buyers here. Maybe it comes up into this point and then we gap higher tomorrow. I could see that happening, but I'm open to a lot of different things in this market at this point. I have to be open to going both ways. Exactly. It could just be the liquidity grab. It really could, and you'll notice that, and you'll be right about that if the 15 minutes able to curl up. I really think that. I think you're going to be correct on that assessment if the 15-minute is able to curl up into positive territory. But as it goes negative, you have to be a little scared here. Just pay attention to this low. We start to close below there. How long have I been trading for? I told you, well, one person asked and I sent them a long email and they want me to like write a book or put out a video talking about my life story kind of thing, because it really, and then I do pay attention a lot to psychology. I'm kind of a nerd. Once I get interested in things, I just go all in. I was a fundamental trader when I was like 20 years old. Durable goods report was positive and it was above what's expected, so we should see a positive move higher. The only thing that could creep into people's minds is possibly inflation still going up if durable goods is still going up. So that's just what I would say. But as it wasn't an extreme number, it was 1.7. No, I don't make indicators. I am a true believer in keeping things simple. I am a true believer in keeping things simple, but using very high quality stuff like weekly ranges. Weekly ranges is one of the things that absolutely tied together everything that I've ever learned about stocks. So my trading history, pretty much I was a fundamental trader back in the day, and I found a company I really, really liked and I loved it. And I was like, everything looks good, PCE ratio, the company's profitable, all this stuff. And so I had I don't know, I was working in sales, but I had like $6,000 that I was trading with. And I was like, this is the moment. This is the stock. Okay. I put it in, and then a few months later, they came out and they actually had committed fraud. They faked all of their numbers, and my money went to I think $1,000 in like a week or something. And yeah, so I went from 6,000 to 1,000, and I said, screw this, I need to do something else. So that's when I still paid attention to the stock market when I was like 20 through 25. But right when around 25 to 26 is when I started to get into more technical analysis, looking at crypto and things like that. And so when I got into technical analysis, then I started to learn about MACD, RSI. Obviously, that comes with, you're going to fail a lot at the beginning. It's perfectly fine, especially around the emotional side of things, being patient in a market and things like that. But the good part was, once I took a few courses, I learned how to swing trade. Just watched a ton of YouTube. I physically took notes of things that I saw as important. And then I started doing technical trading for the last 4 or 5 years now. And since then, up and down until I really put everything together. I stopped. The weird part is I respect YouTubers and I respect traders, whatever you do. But a lot of the time I was listening to way too many people. I was listening to 6 YouTube videos a night to figure out what trades I was going to take. And I was like, okay, I'm getting way too much info. Let me make this simpler. So I took a bunch of courses and then put together the pieces that I liked and said, how could I find the best probabilities? And that's what really turned me into a good trader over the last 4 years. So I would really say that. But if you really want to get good at trading, you want to just understand these indicators very, very well, and then give yourself, the ability to swing trade, ability to trade in a bear market, and the course does a lot of that for you. But the fundamentals were good. That's what I learned very young. I learned very young that fundamentals are, for the most part, more crap than technicals, actually. And people would say that the opposite way, right? But when you're dealing with small amounts of money and you're trying to build, I would say technicals will help you a million times more than fundamentals, because Apple just, look at this. Let's look at Apple. So Apple this morning, right, they came out and they said this. China, wait, that was an hour ago. Let me see. Chatter, Apple iPhone China shipments drop. Okay, so that's bad. Market iPhone China drop. There was a piece of news this morning that was actually decent for Apple, right? It wasn't bad news. It was actually, they are going to update their iOS and change it and make it better. And I was like, oh, that's a good thing. Well, then it drops off. Why? Because there's insiders that know about the China news before. So that drops off, but people are going, oh, that's really bad news, 33%. This could be horrible. But the technicals tell me, hey, if I don't break through this low, I'm fine. The technicals are actually telling me here, I got a divergence here, I got a divergence all the way across here. So I'm actually going to probably see a pop from here. Right, everyone's bearish on Tesla. Everyone's like, Tesla's going into the ground. Tesla's the worst. And I just go, well, there's daily divergence here. So it's probably going to go up. Like, look how much simpler that makes it. It doesn't always work out that way. And that's why you have to be, manage your risk and things like that as well. It's just as important. But even fundamental traders do that as well. I just will not go back to fundamental trading for the most part. I pay attention to the important stuff, data drops and things like that. If there's big news for a stock coming out, I look at the chart before that big news comes out. But I will not, after going through, losing all my money when I was 20, I'm gonna stay away from trading on fundamentals alone. I look at technicals, then I look at fundamentals. That's the best way to do it. You have these in your Patreon courses. The courses are their own link down in the description. And it's just one course, very simple. One course, it's 50% off for the rest of this month. So you just have like 5 days left to grab that. And then it goes up to $199. Just so everyone's aware. Let's look at the Qs today. Let's look at the Qs max pain for today, see what's going on. We got a call wall 446, put wall 440. Where are we sitting at right now? Well, we're at 446. We're pretty much at 446. So starting to close below that level. We'll see what happens there. Let's look for the end of the week. Oh my gosh. Well, if you're looking for the sentiment as far as selling goes, well, I would say a 2.45 put to call ratio means that we have some very bearish sentiment out there as of right now, but we're still holding at higher prices. So you have potential for a squeeze, or are these people going to be right and push the market down? Are we going to sell off? It really can be either scenario at this point. But the longer that we hold up in this area, the longer that we have the potential to cross over on this 30-minute, the more these people down here go underwater. So we could see that squeeze come in. And we know NVIDIA as well has some places to pay attention to. Maybe something we want to pay attention to is like Tesla. See if Tesla's got anything interesting going for this week. See if there is a call wall for you or a put wall. Boom, put wall 170, coming in about 0.93, not too unhealthy at that point, 182.48. So now you have to say all these 170s are underwater, and we could see this thing keep squeezing. Good morning, Mr. Rosales. Media outlets like to give news that doesn't matter to pull a stock in a certain direction and then rip the other way. Yeah, if you really want to see the sickness of fundamentals, just watch Jim Cramer for about 2 minutes, because okay, so here's what I did with Jim Cramer. If you guys, this is how nerdy I am. Okay, so when Jim Cramer, I always heard about him, so I started watching him a little bit like years ago. And I actually did watch him a little, and I was like, I don't feel like he's very good. And then once I learned technicals for fun, I went through times where Jim Cramer told you to buy, and I am not. I don't want to cuss too much, but I'm not shitting you. He I think it was like right before the crash happened, and I was telling my dad like, hey, you might want to sell your stock. It was like right up in this area. I think it was like right here. I think it was like right here, December 20th or something. He said like 2024 is going to be or 2022 is going to be a boom of a market, and the Fed is going to blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, like a month later, dude. Like a month later, you just look at it and it's just torn away. It's just crazy to me. But I did go back and look through like 5 different times where he made calls on Nike. That was it. This is the one. It was Nike. Where the hell is Nike? I know it's up now, but he said it was right. Where was it? I think it was right here, because I think it was around my birthday. He said this right here. Even on my buy, even I had a buy signal, and I just looked. It said buy here, and all I saw was like, oh, this seems, like it's hitting top Bollinger. This could explode higher, but this is a pretty big move. And this is before I knew a bunch of technicals, but I was like, I'm not convinced. Boom, look at But that's when he said it. But I think I looked at it, you know, a year later or something. But boom, look at that. So max pain for NVIDIA. It doesn't have max pain for today. Okay, so max pain is measured by the closing. Just so you guys are aware of that. Sorry, let me get us back over to the keys before we get into this too much. We're way up here, aren't we? Yeah, there we are. I found it. Max pain for NVIDIA. I can pull it up one more time. Max pain for NVIDIA is 915. Check. Yeah, 915. 2022, people considered it a bear market. I consider it a correction at this point. I think the fact that you know you're going to a new all-time high this fast, you would say a bear market usually lasts even a little bit longer a lot of the time. But this here, it was a great market. This is really where I learned all of the things that I put together in the course. I learned right around like this area up in here. I think it was actually right before the fall, and then I started testing it with Apple around this all throughout this price action. But the thing about this is, really, this could be considered a bear market because we went down by, what is it, like 20 over 20% or something like that, right? So 37%. So you'd have to say like, yeah, but it's just like one of a very short bear market. So what you would overall say is this is most likely a correction at this point in my mind, and the bear market is coming. I think the bear market is coming because we've hit new all-time highs so fast, and the same narrative, the same problems we're dealing with all this, we're going to deal with again right here, like even worse right here. So that's what I would say. How can I purchase your course? It is down in the description below. You'll see a divergence and a bear market strategy course. Teaches you how to make your own weekly ranges if you don't want to join the Patreon. It's just a very simple way to do it. But if you want the actual ranges, that's just what I give out on Patreon. Ron Walker, my signals remain. I didn't watch Ron Walker in the last couple days, but and Marina, thank you for buying the course, by the way. Really appreciate that. My signals remain bullish, but the top is forming, and that's really, that actually is a good way to put it. Okay, the signals are bullish, so we have to be bullish, but the top is forming. It can take a long time for that top to form, though. Look at this. I mean, technically, you could say the top has been forming pretty much ever since like here. This is really, it's like, okay, the top has been forming. The top is still forming. The top is still forming. But I just want you to notice how the price action on the Qs is getting wonkier. It's not that, it is pretty, it's not like this. Now it's turning into choppiness, which tells you that a top can be forming up here. Now, will that top form all the way here, or will it make one more push? We'll have to find out, but these divergences up here not looking too good. Yeah, Ron Walker is good for the overall macro side, but if you trade based on what he says, until maybe he says like, this is the top, like then you can trade, but overall he's a good macro perspective. I think he's correct in what he's saying. It's just, it's taking a long time to play out, so his videos kind of all seem the same to me, so I haven't been watching lately. AMD breaking down, so this is where you need to be a little bit worrisome. The 2-hour could cross over here. We could see lower prices for AMD. NVIDIA not able to curl over this 2-hour as of just yet. And that's nothing, by the way, that's no bash against Ron Walker. I actually like a lot of what he says. He says a lot of things that I totally agree with. Yeah, and that's where it's like my thumbnail, I've done that too, where my thumbnail's like, this is the top. But if you watch the video, and he does it too, he's just a lot more like trying to call it. I'm just saying like, this is a point where a top could form. Hopefully that's coming across. Yeah, exactly. And that's how we try to treat it. Hopefully you guys are kind of getting the hang of like, okay, the macro perspective, this could end really badly. But until it wants to end really badly, we can just trade this thing back and forth. AMD, the thing I think about AMD is I really want to see, I think this thing needs to buy back up like now. I really do. I don't want to see it head lower here. 15 minutes still close to positive. You still have that opportunity. At this point, I would just say, look at this range we're in. Boom, like this. We got one fake out to the upside, one fake out to the downside. I would just cut that out. I would cut that noise out and just do something like this, right? Maybe just draw a line across these highs up here like that. And then maybe do something like this, connect these bad boys, see if it's able to bounce from right here. Look at where it's bouncing from at this moment. You got maybe a triangle forming. You have head and shoulders all across this thing, right? You have head and shoulders here. You have head and shoulders here, possibly forming. You just want to see, is this going to break down? And the way I could see that is maybe a 1 hour. You see this 1 hour just wants to curl over. If that happens, that's going to be some bad news. So you really want this to start buying up right now. And that's one thing I did notice is, and I'm trying to get better on my channel about is updating you when I think an event won't be sell the news anymore. We did that with I think it was CPI. Was it CPI? Was it Jerome Powell talking? No, it was the Fed rate decision. Remember, a week before Fed rate decision, I was like, this isn't looking good. This is going to be bad. And then like 3 days before the Fed rate decision, I was like, okay, wait, now people are getting really bearish on it, and I'm seeing some bullish things. So I'm trying to be very good about being like, hey, this is a point you should pay attention to. If the signals remain like this before then, it's bad. And then as it updates, we try to flip the script. Flipping back and forth. Being a flip-flopper with stocks is actually a strength. It really is. That's why we say trade like water. Being a flip-flopper with stocks is a good thing. Tesla. Edward likes Tesla. So I still wanted this to consolidate. We're not seeing consolidation just yet. I think it needs to consolidate for some time here. But hey, if it's a strong move, look at that daily. You're going to be the next Ron Walker in 30 years, but better. What are his phrases I have to learn? Doesn't he say, he says funny phrases. What do I always hear him say? He goes like, you know. No, wait. In great length and detail. That's what he says. He says like in great length and detail. Yeah, exactly. So Hector, if you're talking about Tesla here, look at this. Boom. Boom. Look at that. We could see positivity going forward. We could not... And that was my first assessment. If you were part of this channel when I had like 500 subs, I originally was saying this could go all the way to October. It's just the way the Qs and the SPY look right now. If we don't get a correction or a pullback over the next, month or so, this thing can just go like this and then drop down. So you want to just be worried because of how it looks now. If we had more structure heading up, that's what we were talking about in the past on this channel when I had like 500 subs. It's like I wanted more structure for this to be a prolonged move all the way into October, but nevertheless, I digress. Oh God, what? Hey, thank you. Happy Friday. Thank you. Lucas is the best, most real chart technical reader on YouTube. Lucas, don't change a thing. You're great. I appreciate that. I'm not trying to change. I feel like I never want to get in a mentality of like not trying to be better. I feel like there's always room for me to improve, to help you guys, learn and stuff like that even more. Just really keep improving myself. And then that will help me improve my courses. That will help me improve how I educate, how I improve one-on-ones, how I improve on the Patreon, the setups that I give, things like that I think are very important to keep in mind. Apple not necessarily seeing some strength from this level here. You really want to see it start to break through here. Then you have potential for double top. We come test this level. Then you have potential for head and shoulders when we start to go up into this zone. Change plus improvement equals evolution. That was the soccer club I played for when I was a kid. Evolution Football Club. Walker quotes, nevertheless, I digress. Poppycock! Oh my God. Oh my god, whenever he talks about data drops, and that's where you have to agree with him. He's like, these numbers are cooked. I think he said like these numbers are poppycock, and I'm like, what the hell? Would I place puts? No, I'm not playing with NVIDIA this week. Not when the range is at 1,000. I'm not playing with it until it. I would think about NVIDIA if it goes over 1,000, but also it could hit 1,000 like on Thursday, and then Friday's news could be good, and it could be at 1,500. Like I'm not playing around with it too much. You guys, there are so many good stocks to take long put plays on. I'm not even kidding. I'm not even kidding. Like it is so crazy. I mean, not necessarily good news for NVIDIA today, as far as I've seen. Some good news for Tesla. Very good news for Tesla, apparently. I didn't see it as that good of news, but apparently it's 6% worth, 6.5% worth of good news for Tesla, which is that they're allowing people to have 1 month free to test out their self-driving system for a month, and then they can buy it afterwards, which is a good thing. I mean, it can improve sales and things like that. DJT, it just broke to the upside way too quick. There's no technicals to go off of. So I'm just telling you guys, you're looking at shorting these things that are going parabolic when you could just look at like, what, Microsoft? Microsoft curl up in positive territory, comes up here, sets up a triple divergence, sets up a divergence in the shorter time frame, in the shorter price action here. And then you could look at that. And this one's so good because you have 2-hour divergence as well. This one's so good. You have daily divergence as well. Once you take the course, since it's 50% off, you'll understand why you would rather look at Microsoft than look at NVIDIA. You would rather look at Google instead of NVIDIA. You would rather look at Netflix instead of NVIDIA. Oh, Disney. Yeah, I did see someone mention Disney. Sorry about that. I try to keep up. Disney, same. Like, look at this thing. Look at Disney. Like, look at that. Like, if this thing confirms down, this is telling you the top is forming at this point, or at least some kind of bigger pullback correction, you know, to pull back by 10, 20% and then start to creep higher. Hold NVIDIA 950 call. That's hard to say at this point. I would just say you can be confident. I mean, if the expiration is like, you know, in 2 days, that's a little scary there. But I would just say this. If the 2-hour confirms down, I would not be taking calls on NVIDIA myself. I would not. Just even if it did see a big move, I'd say this. I'm going to be a smart trader. I'm going to create good habits. You don't want to create bad habits. If you take a YOLO NVIDIA play and it hits 1,000 and you make $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, you're going to sit there and say, I need to do this every time, right? Your mental's going to do that, when really the technicals here will get it right more so than you'll see those crazy things happen. Bought it and it fell apart. Yeah, so something to save yourself. You might want to, I mean, I don't know if you've taken my course or anything like that. It's very simple. Something to save yourself from buying calls today, right, is if you just look at this 15-minute, what about this 15-minute tells me that NVIDIA is going higher right now? Nothing. Nothing about this 15-minute tells me NVIDIA is going higher at this point. So I have no reason to take an upward play. I'm talking about myself. I can find zero reason in this area to take a call on NVIDIA. Now, what are some reasons that it could and starts to add up? Well, this just went negative. So if this MACD can start to cross to the upside, then I'd have a reason. We talk about this in the course too, reasons to take trades. All right. Then it crosses up. Oh, it crossed on the MACD. It was, okay, cool. Awesome. Now, did it break? Did it make a new low? No. All right, cool. So maybe I dabble with it. Did it go positive territory? Yes. There's 3 reasons right there. But as of right now, absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing telling me this here. Even the 5-minute, nothing. So, I mean, I hope I wasn't coming. I'm not like coming at you. I feel like I don't want to talk like I'm talking down to someone. I felt like I sounded like that for a sec. I'm not trying to. I was just stating this is a very positive move. Until this thing rolls over on the 2-hour and goes negative, it's probably not coming down. And the thing about the 2-hour is you can say up here, right? People might say, oh, I want to get in on this early. I want to take a put position early so I can get a very high price and then it goes down. I make a bunch. You want to wait for this to confirm because look how much room you still have on this MACD, right? We still have a lot of room up here. We could just create that divergence right above us. We could create that flat divergence a little bit down like this. It could come up to here. What does that mean? This could go up to there before that divergence is set. Yeah, hopefully, and like, yeah, I'm never trying to like sound smart or something. I'm just giving my honest take from how the stuff that I've learned while trading. And if this 15-minute curls up, you have a chance to make back some money on those calls that are going down in value as of right now. If this curls up in positive territory, you have a shot to test this level. Actually, probably test this level first, then test this level, then possibly go make a new high. But the probabilities are with you. Positive trend, didn't make a new low, able to cross in positive territory. Let's look back. Let's look back. Could we trade this very, very simply? We get into positive territory, what happens? All right, first of all, we're not taking a trade based on anything on the 15-minute because we cross down here. We want to see it go positive. Okay, now we're in a positive trend. We kind of pull back, we consolidate. Guess what? Crosses up, positive territory. Boom. We go from 885 to 926. All right, cool. That's enough profit for me. See it beat down again. All right. Curl up, positive trend. Boom. Went from 907 to 946. Maybe I take profit there. All right, curls down, crosses up. Now I see divergences forming, so I know to be a lot quicker. I know to be quicker with my profits if I'm taking upside here. Get a big boom. Goes from 934 to 967. So, like, if you just play this crossing of the MACD, you wouldn't have made money on, okay? You wouldn't. But if you took a chance here, closing above the 5. Take a chance here, closing above the 5. And all the other moving averages. This is how you play this type of stuff when it is bullish. So, can that happen again? Well, the thing is, did we cut this low? No. So, if we curl up into positive territory, we can see a bigger move here. The indicators I used, which are described on that course down in the description, MACD, RSI, and I even show you some of this stuff. We don't talk too much about Bollinger Bands. Overall, it's just a short thing, I think. But for the most part, all you need to be a successful trader, MACD, I would say MACD, RSI, and I mean, moving averages help you with getting into moves and things like that. I would say getting into a position, it can help. But I would say that moving averages are also very important. And then the things that you need to learn over time are how to spot resistance, how to spot support, and how to draw trend lines, which we talk about as well, which is really just drawing ideas. It's drawing ideas. That's really what how I do my drawings. I just drop ideas and then I look for those to break to the downside, break to the upside, and they play out. I've done it for so long that it's been working. And I just say, okay, then I am good at doing that. And I just keep doing it over and over and over. AMD pushing back up. Like I said, this thing needs to hold up now. It needs to hold up now. Because if this crosses over in negative territory, it's going to flood. You're going to get algorithms involved. This thing could really start to break down to lower levels. Maybe even come fill this gap at 164. So you don't want that to happen. It needs to buy up now. And once you get good with technicals, once you do this for years and you take this course, maybe you need to take another one. Maybe you just take this course like 3 times, like once a month for a while, and then go through charts for a long time. You'll start to understand like this needs to hold up right now or else something is going to confirm that is bad. So if you look at AMD the opposite way, what kind of trend is AMD in? It's in a negative trend, right? This is a negative trend. Boom, negative, negative. So if this would curl over, it's really bought up some room here, which means we can see a more significant drop. I was just saying this needs to buy up or else this is going to confirm. So we needed to see a little bit of strength here. The overall area where I'm paying attention to AMD to some upside is that 190, this gap fill. I think that we have a good shot to see this, see something like this, and then see it do this over time. Imagine this, if this is really flagging like this and this is important at all, this would pop up to here, it would stay within it, close that gap, and then we'd break through it, get a retest, and then break down, head and shoulders. That's just how I see it. In NVIDIA, we're starting to see it's starting to, it's starting to struggle a little bit. It's struggling a little bit, but that doesn't mean that it can't go higher. We just have to pay attention to these signals. If it starts to, retest and fall back down, then we can see that 2-hour crossover. Dawson's like, I'm going to buy $10 billion worth. That way it just goes up for us, guys, real quick. Oh, here, I didn't see this. Hold on. Okay, for a 3 to 5 year hold. Okay, I like these types of things. Oh, yes. Yes. I mean, this is a pretty much a penny stock. I don't like to look at these very often, but if you were going to do something, Jesus. Be a little careful as the market is at all-time highs and we could experience a crash that might put a lot of these stocks to zero. So be careful with anything that's worth like $1 or something. But you do have big divergences down here. I'd say look for that to cross, go positive. Pretty good chance that you're going to at least go positive trend for a little bit of time. We'll see if we're able to do that. Be careful around the 200. You're below the 200, so it's good that you're saying hold for 3 to 5 years. And the thing is, if you're going to hold something for 3 to 5 years, you really want to do a fundamental side as well. So yes, use the technical side to find a good point to get in. And then now you want to look at the fundamentals and be like, are they decently profitable? Are they growing? What's their PE ratio? All those types of things. But I'd say, like, if you're confident in it, you've done your homework. The technical side is showing you big divergences here. There's it's over here. So when it's when a company, like when they don't have data on a company or something, they give you this little dinosaur. You guys want to see something funny? Okay, watch Dogecoin. Watch this. Watch this. Oh, what? What? It didn't do it. No. No. Maybe if I do it on a different chart here. No. You guys, usually when you click on Dogecoin, it pops up a little dog, and it goes like, awesome. Anyway, that didn't work out. Mara, one thing we were talking about here, 2-hour curling over, not a good sign. Okay, so the 2-hour curling over, not good. What do? We just see, can this make a move higher if it can hold it at these levels? All right, now we see it's able to hold in this almost flag here. It's a good idea going forward, and now we can maybe see a positive move higher. You'll notice on the 30-minute curl up, positive territory right above us. It's not every time. Let me click it again. I'm sorry, that's my ADHD kicking in, guys. That's just works both ways. Sometimes I get focused on the stupidest thing for a little while. Okay, so now you want to see here, if it starts to consolidate at this level, that might not be the best, right? If it starts to do this, you have the potential for... So it's a good sign we didn't come down into this level, but you do still have the potential to like consolidate. We talk about this a little bit. Consolidation right before breaking through an important area. This would be important at this point. Yeah, I'd say that's still pretty important. So if you consolidate before that area, you could see that gap down. That's something to pay attention to, but just know that you don't have to be overly bearish until we start to really escalate past 930. And then you don't want to get overly bullish until we escalate past 950. So all this is good, but this needed to consolidate a little bit, probably grab some. The cool part here is I want you guys to see something. See, this is how we do it. Boom, look at that line across there. Now, can we form anything from here? What if we did this? Let's do this, let's do this, let's do that. Holy crap, we'd be almost to 1,000. Just an idea. Drop your ideas, guys. It's not a bad thing to drop your ideas. Google making that move higher. Look at that big cup, that big handle. Do you guys see this? Big cup, big handle. Now you're completing another cup. I'm probably going to get a small handle here and then break through. But this is pretty cool on the 15-minute to see. AMD almost going positive here, about to cross up, maybe in positive territory. Do we see a strong move? See if NVIDIA is following suit. Not necessarily just yet. One thing that we haven't checked on a little bit, Apple. Apple, see this 15-minute? This could be how you get into a position, right? Look at this. You could get into a position possibly right here. We'll see what we want to do with this. Hey, meet Sam. Thank you for joining the Patreon. Really do appreciate it. Shazad, Mahwidin. I think I'm trying to say your name right. I really am. But thank you so much for taking the course. Really, really do appreciate that. We got some new course people coming in. I think you guys will really enjoy that. I think you'll really, really enjoy that. Maybe it even calms you down and be like, oh, I don't need to look at a million things every day. Maybe I could just look. And you know what's funny? When I really did really well with my trading strategy, like putting all my stuff together for like the probably second time, I only looked at like 3 stocks. I only traded 3 stocks. I think Apple I traded like 75% of the time I was just trading Apple. It was awesome. And then I traded Apple, TLT, and I think it was Amazon. I'm pretty sure it was Amazon. I think it was those 3. And guess what? I was able to make plenty of money. Turned $500 into 20 grand, like just testing that strategy with real money. I was like, I'm just going to fully do it for like 2 months, see what happens. And I fully did it on my fun account. And yeah, I took some money out of that account. Let's just put it that way. But thank you guys so much for taking the course. Really take it in, and really pay attention to the emotional side of the market as well. There will be times when you'll have a gut feeling of I'm not feeling comfortable, and it is good to get out at those times if you're not feeling comfortable. I had to do that plenty of times. All right, let's take a look at some stuff here. Let's see what we're doing. Oh, maybe something like this. Let's see. Oh, that's our. I do have a hedge out there still. I have 2 hedges. My hedge for this week's going to expire, but that's okay. Chilling on that. Let's do some other ones that people were looking at. See, Mara, that consolidation there. It was ARM a lot of people were asking about yesterday. Okay, so this here, you're seeing these divergences on the shorter time frames, 30-minute. You see that divergence on the 30-minute. So we actually could see some negativity from ARM going forward. Dang, that thing's up though right now. Let's see. Well, we did just break out of this. Oh, okay, so curl up, positive territory. This is where you don't want to fight too much against the daily. Bollinger Band's pretty tight. Could see an explosive move here. Right now, the probabilities are telling you that, you know, if this crosses, the potential for this tightness to spread out is most likely going to be to the upside. I'm just going to tell you that right now. But you want to be cautious with that. Mara, you really just see, like, is Bitcoin going to move higher? Well, Bitcoin looks pretty similar, right? Curl up. See Bitcoin make a good move. You can probably see ARM make a good move. Maybe wanna do. Okay, something's busted here on my end. Very, very wrong. Hold on, guys. I gotta fix something. Oh boy. God, don't you hate it when technology's just not working right? I'm sorry. I gotta ignore the chat just for a moment here. This is not. All right, we're going to ignore that. Never mind. Screw it. Technology, guys. Technology. Donald, I'd be a little bit careful. You could see a drop in Tesla. Just make sure you know that it is above that weekly expected move. You can see little stuff on 5-minute charts and things like that. Head and shoulders, though, on a 5-minute chart here. No real head and shoulders forming just yet. I think I see what you're saying. Like if this is a left, maybe it does this. Gives you that right shoulder. But we were just talking. If this just consolidates up in this area right here, it'd be very, very good. Really enjoy the stream. Just found your channel, but very much appreciate the tips. Thank you. I appreciate that. If you hit the subscribe button right now, it'll pop you up on the screen and it'll say like welcome and you'll bounce. It's pretty cool. Netflix going positive on the 15-minute. We can pay attention to that. Already took all my arm. Already took my whole arm. I took it off the table. When it hit 144, good job. Hey, that's perfectly fine. Maybe you saw those divergences and you said, hey, risk to reward here. I'm just going to take my profit. Sean, thanks. I'm going over the course this weekend. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Tesla, I'm seeing that headshot definitely should drop to 178 level by end of today. And that's definitely possible. Okay, so this is, and if you think that has to happen, don't think anything has to happen. Should drop is a better way to put it. Now, if this wants to, I still think the potential for consolidation at this level, as this is good news, we could see this move higher. I just want you to be aware of the structure that could form around this area. Yes, we could consolidate down to 128. We could come down to 174, 178. We come down to 170. We come fill this gap. But is that just going to be a right shoulder? So, sorry, here we go. And then right shoulder over here. So the cool part about Tesla, if you're wanting to trade this bad boy, you can literally just look at a 30-minute. See this curl down, see it curl back, go positive. Now that it's in a 30-minute positive trend, just make sure it stays there. And then someone said Netflix, AMD's on fire. Oh God, oh God, oh God. Told you. Look at that. It has to hold up in this hour. Look at that. So what happened? We were talking about this, the hourly. It was just about to cross. It was literally touching on that MACD. I just said, if this wants to hold up, it has to do it now. Boom! Look at that. It holds up. So congratulations on AMD there, guys. If you're able to not lose a ton of money by this MACD not crossing down, boom, look at that. Now we can maybe go target something like this gap up in here. No big trade setups for this. I would just look 30-minute, about to go positive. So what do you think that could happen to Bitcoin-related stocks if... So right now, inflation is still in the market. That's why you are seeing the gold. So when inflation is going up and high, gold goes up because the dollar goes down. So gold becomes more valuable because it's a hedge against inflation. Bitcoin is similar. Bitcoin is similar. People do kind of run to that as well. Hi, Rose. Alan, I've been on target, man. I've been calling it. Don't expect it every time. Don't expect it every time. I think I have about a 75, 80 to 85, somewhere in there, success ratio most of the time. What's up, my guy? What up, Aaron Blackburn? You know, I almost played for Blackburn in Europe. I almost played soccer for Blackburn with their academy team. Meta, please. We'll look at Meta in just a moment. I just wanted to make sure... Hey, Lucas, sometimes I notice my trades get stuck in consolidated movements. Is there anything you do to prevent that? Yeah, depends on if you make profit while you get up to there, where you got in. But consolidation is not bad for your move, necessarily. It's only bad if you're taking an expiration that's really close. I would highly encourage you. Something that really helped me out while doing these types of strategies, okay, 30-minute divergence. I'll just talk about Apple. And then I promise you, I will go check out Meta. I promise you I will. But, so this 30-minute divergence, you'll notice that it started to set up on a Monday, right? It started to set up on Monday. Now it's taking a full day to do this. Now it's taking a full day to do this. Maybe it even comes down to here. Maybe it pops up one more time. Maybe it comes down to retest. Then it starts to head up. it can take a lot of time. And guess what? The breakout doesn't happen until Wednesday. You don't actually see profit until later on next week. So what you can do, you'll see the same amount of value. You just might not get above your strike. You can literally take a month out or 2 weeks out, 2 weeks to a month out. That way you have plenty of time for this to play out. Soccer. I played soccer. And we were connected. I played for a team that was slightly connected to Everton here in the States. So my brother got to go over and play against Everton Academy and stuff like that. I got to meet some of the players from Everton when I was in high school. And I housed a couple guys from the Academy teams over there at my house, and it was pretty cool. But yeah, I almost played for Blackburn Academy back in the day. So this now turning back up, but the consolidation, it can take time. So what you want to do is say, just in case consolidation happens, maybe do that. Just in case consolidation happens, I'm going to see something like this, take a position that is good, but maybe a smaller position. Then if that consolidates, again, I can go here, this rejects on the crossing. Maybe you look at a 15-minute. Right, 15-minute. If this crosses, I'll take another one. That'll make your price a little bit better, right? So you'll get the price here, you get a price here, and then you see one big move, and you're like, all right, I made 50%, I made 20%, I made 100%, I made 200%. GDP, I have to assume, is going to be good for the market. I'm just throwing it out there. I nailed it on spot. I talk about stocks so much. This Spotify, yeah, as overall, I think, what were you saying? I was saying, this could be a big handle over here on like a 2-hour. I just said, really look for this to come fill this gap, I think, or at least test the highs up in here, but it doesn't mean it has to go down. What we can do from here, look at a 30-minute, see it's got the divergence now, so we could see a pullback here, but I think it's going to, when you see these big breakouts, usually if you see it wick like this, it's going to gravitate towards that source of liquidity. So if it's not able to hold up at this level up in here with this liquidity, and it drops below probably this big box up in here, you see it drop below. Okay, now definitely heading towards that. So I've been doing this for a little while, guys. Just a little while. The NVDA not necessarily seeing that strength come in yet, so GDP Thursday, though. Let me look at what they have marked for GDP. Oh, Meta. Let me look at Meta first. Someone did ask about that. Meta, one thing I was noticing, 30-minute. Okay, 30-minute curl up, positive territory. We can see that positive move. It makes sense to struggle at this level. You just want to see, can it really break through this, where it's at right now? Can it break through? Because if it does, you get that 30-minute divergence. That's really what I'm leaning towards for Meta. Peek at a 2-hour real quick. You see that kind of wanting to curl back up, not necessarily seeing. You just have to be a little weary because you have divergences all across this. So if you're going to take a trade with this, if you get that pop, I would just say still do what we've been talking about the last, all of March. Very trappy market, very hard to trade in, honestly, for just people who trade bull markets. This is a little bit more difficult. You just want to take profit a little bit earlier. But Meta, on the daily scale, I just want to show you that as well, since you asked. I think your name's Aksh or something like that. You just want to pay attention, because if this curls up, you can see a big positive move on the daily scale. That's why I'm saying, like, if we're going to see this huge move, like see Meta curl up, see this huge move, oh my gosh, you got, like, this market's going to get so sick. Like, everything's going to, and overall, it's like, okay, this big move could happen, but is that really plausible? Well, the Qs are telling me they're up in a struggle area. So is this really plausible? It can happen if it curls up. Positive territory, sure, test the high, go make a new one. But really, I think this just fails up in this area. That's just my opinion. But I just want to show you that positivity can come in. Is that going to be positivity before earnings? And then we see that ripped away. I think earnings are really going to wake some people up here. AMD is still positive territory, right? So even on the daily scale for AMD, it can just do this over time. If it sees a positive move, you do have a flat divergence up here, flat divergence on the RSI. So when we see flatness and flatness, we talk about this in the course a little, I'm leaning towards a pullback. And if that just wants to, now it can cross positive territory. Maybe we see a big move. It's just not necessarily what I'm leaning towards based on where the market is right now. I think it could get rejected, set up a lower high. Guys, My ADHD kicked in. What was I looking at? I have my ranges up right now. You guys? You guys? Yeah, Naveed. ARM, short time frames. ARM on the shorter time frames. Looking like it has some divergence, okay? So some divergence up here, which means we could get a pullback. Maybe that's just a retest. Still positive at this point. Pay attention if we start to lose this level right here, but we might want to dip down to there to grab that liquidity to head up. We can just see if this rolls down and rolls back up positive territory, most likely that's your next positive move. But on the daily side of things, maybe you don't pull back. Maybe you just start to go a little bit parabolic here for a moment, because look at this MACD. It really wants to cross on this daily here. So I would just say, you know, it looks like the move that will happen is to the upside, but you have to be weary as you do have some little divergences here on the 30-minute. But betting against the daily is usually the wrong way to go. Betting against it curling up on the daily is usually not the way to go. So it looks like this could head upward. What's your target for that? Well, we can make you a little target based on this. You guys know I don't take profit based on these. I take profit based on how much money I make. But 182 maybe. Square. Your read on the QQQ from this weekend was spot on. Why, thank you. I've been doing pretty good over the last month. Like, pretty good. Square. Oh, sorry, this is not Square. Is this not Square? Am I crazy? Yeah, Naveed, hopefully that was helpful. VIX is probably going to go down here. VIX 2-hour divergence is what we called. Yeah, Alan, I think that's actually a pretty good take there. I would say about block. Why do I feel like this used to be square? But anyway, we have divergence up in here. You're about to curl up positive territory. You might see some 2-hour divergences up here. So when you see a daily divergence, that's your first thing. Okay, I have to be open to this correcting. Doesn't mean I can't take a bullish play, but in the short time frames, I have to just be weary. Okay. So then I look at a 2-hour. There is a chance NVIDIA is going down, guys, if that 2-hour crosses. So the 2-hour, now you're starting to see, okay, this is very close to the center line. I have that daily divergence. I have divergence at this point. I have divergence at this point. I have multiple point divergence up in this area. That could mean that this wants to pull back. Okay, so this might want to pull back from this area just because you're so close to that negative territory down here. Okay, guys, so pay attention to this right here if you're looking at block and that rolls over, because you could start to break through this level, get that head and shoulders to fully confirm. This could still be a right shoulder at this point. Never again, Jeremiah. Hey, I'm sorry to hear about that, man. I'm sorry to hear about that. Akash, it does have the opportunity to go lower. Am I leaning towards that? No, but it does have the opportunity. We were just stating this is what you want to pay attention to. Once the 2-hour rolls over, NVIDIA will go lower. Once the 2-hour rolls over, NVIDIA will go lower. But do you know how many times I have seen... Look right here. Here, I'll do this. Let's do this. I want you to look right here. This little notch right here. You see this little notch? And even right here, you see how it turns down? People go, oh, it's going to cross. It doesn't. It turns back up. Little notch. You get these little notches that can fake you out. This might just be one of those notches, right? So we have to pay attention, wait for this to actually confirm, because if you look, it could make the divergence up here. It could make it, sure, it could make it right here. It could make it down here. It could make it up here. So you have plenty of room to head higher. Read on the VIX is 2-hour divergence down by 12.12 or in our consolidation. But on NVIDIA, if you really want to pay attention to this, just see if the 15-minute can roll up positive territory. That's really, I would really keep it simple for yourself. And then just see if that continued strength happens on the 30-minute and things like that. 4-hour charts I use for crypto, but I've just seen the most success rows with 2 hours, 30 minutes, and daily charts. I would just put it that way. Now, if I look at futures markets, I will use a 4-hour. I'm from the Midwest. Stuck channel. I'm born and raised Kansas. I played soccer in a few places in the country. I played semi-pro ball, almost played for the New York Red Bulls till my injury, but I played up in Pennsylvania. Lived in Georgia for a little bit, so a little bouncing around. Why are markets not dumping? Because people have not hit the sell button. If you really want to take it back to why markets aren't dumping, they should be dumping based on what the insiders are doing, but they're not. So that just tells me that retail traders are not selling their stocks. That's not, I mean, Aaron B, that's possible at this point. Look at the strength. Look at this, guys. So you want to see everyone's saying my calls have been pretty good. So you might want to take that course so you can start to learn about these things, right? And then you can ask me about them. I can work with you on them with some of those one-on-ones that we're going to set up in the next month or two. And we can talk about this course and we can say, hey, maybe you'll start to understand the videos a little bit too. But what was it? Just curious why markets aren't dumping. There's one thing. Oh, the VIX. The VIX, I just wanted to show you the 2-hour divergence that could form here. So you do have 15-minute divergences all along here, but that can happen a lot. So I'm leaning towards 2-hour divergence. I think I said this in last night's video. 2-hour divergence down in this area, or getting a wick down to 12.12, and then we see that spike back up. No, you're good. You're good. Casey has the best barbecue. Yeah. Yeah. I've been to Q39. Hey, Desi Smash! Thank you for joining. Really appreciate you. Do retailers have so much power? Well, you're looking at hedge funds, retail, things like that. Insiders are out. So the Jeff Bezos, the next level, not your hedge funders, the ones above them, they're out. Hedge funders could be in. Retailers could be piling in on credit. We've talked about that before. Credit is a huge thing. There actually is an influx of people who are taking out credit cards and buying Bitcoin, are taking out credit cards and buying NVIDIA right now. So, and they're starting to go delinquent. So be very cautious with that. But this market is built up on credit. It's not real money. Oh, GameStop. Oh wait, someone asked for. Forget which one this is. Curl up. Let's see. If you want this to curl up positive territory daily, maybe. Okay, it could curl up here. Yeah, this looks pretty similar to a lot of other things. This is good. What I would say is a swing trader would probably get into this right around here and then wait for the confirmation to stay in that move. So if this confirms, you can probably hang on to this for a little bit. But be careful before earnings, right? Because if this comes out in April, that could be worrisome. I think earnings is really going to people up. But actually good structure here as well. So if I go 2-hour, now the only thing I don't like about this is I don't like this buying pattern because you invite this to happen, right? I don't like it when it's doing this. So really pay attention to that crossing. We have divergences up here. You're creating maybe another divergence in the future, but shorter time frames don't look the best. But I would say the daily scale, pay attention to that. If you're going to hold this for a while, you could see a move upward. You kind of got to fake out up, fake out down. Now it's buying up. So I just don't really like this type of behavior. I don't like this type of buying. Like it reminds me of Apple. So have you seen how Apple's been reacting lately? Do you see the buying in Apple? It's kind of like on the 30-minute here. It kind of looks like this to me. It's just more extended like this. Like trickle, 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 drop. Trickle, 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 drop. That's what I'm seeing. What time is the bond auction? The bond auction today, 10:30, 12, and then tomorrow you have 10:30, 10:30, 12. Well, I guess for you guys, it might be different times. I'm Central Time, but looks like about 2 hours after open tomorrow. And then we should be getting one like now. Boom, there you go. So see this 30-minute curl up. What is this positive trend? TLT, most likely going positive here. You can do this even with the rates too, guys. Like I've done this. Look at this 30-minute divergence, TLT, curling up, positive territory. This could be a good little trade. I have traded TLT. You guys know where I bought 82.50. Some of my stuff's starting to work again. That's good. New here, have been watching your videos, by the way. Hey, I appreciate that. That's awesome. Hopefully you are finding them beneficial. I know that sometimes watching people on YouTube, you can be like, oh, I got to read through the lines a little bit, but get that. The course is only $100 right now. It's 50% off for the next 5 days. So I'd highly encourage you to look at that if you're interested in learning about how I see things and why these indicators are important in a bear market strategy and things like that. I was just looking at it. Yeah. Car payments, most delinquent since 2010. We're actually, if you guys watched the Saturday video, I'd actually say, like, go back and watch the Saturday video. We gave some of the fundamental side, like looking at some of the news that people are talking about. A lot of places telling you not to be worried about any kind of, downside and stuff like that. That's not something you want to hear. A lot of people saying we're not in a bubble. It's like, dude, just look at the credit cards. We're in a freaking bubble. Like, it's just silly. It's poppycock. But wait, what was it? Balderdash. What do I think about the SPY this week? I think SPY goes to, I don't know about this week. It might take some time to happen, but I think SPY goes to a new all-time high, maybe even into Thursday. But if it wants to consolidate more before then maybe PCE will be good. I think if SPY hits new all-time high Thursday, then we have potential for PCE to actually be bad news for the market. That's just a personal opinion, but I'm going to obviously look at trade setups. I'm not going to place any trades based on the fact that I think something's going to happen. I'm going to look at the probabilities of the charts before and then trade according to that. Apple still not positive. Tesla holding higher, 181. Amazon holding higher. NVIDIA starting to bounce. 15-minute. Can we cross, or is this going to fail? We'll find out very, very soon. Is this going to be a cup and handle to the downside? We'll have to find out. Is this cup and handle to the downside, or are we going to see that curl up into positive territory? If we can hold, remember 950, the level to really pay attention to here. See if you can get above that. That would be pretty good. And I know Robert didn't respond. Robert, I hope that was a good little answer for you on LLY. Oh yeah, that's true. Let's look at GameStop. I haven't looked at this since all that psychoness. Oh my god. All right, 15-minute divergence on GameStop. This could curl back over. 30-minute curl down. It could definitely happen, but let's see if there's any bigger structure here. 2-hour, little divergence. Weirdly enough, isn't this crazy? Look at this. You got a little setup here on the 2-hour, which makes me want to look at a 30-minute actually. Okay, there you go. There's your divergence for this pop. Look at that. So if you take the course, you would know to get into this move. Look at that, boom. Curls up, positive territory. You can go and use what I tell you in the course to make your range for GameStop. You can see that big move. The range is probably up in this area. You're out of the move. This is a good one. It was definitely useful. Okay, good. Okay. You just really want to make sure that daily's crossing, though. It's still a time to be a little cautious with the daily moves, right? Even Tesla, I'm going to be cautious with, right? But that's something. I still have GME down here on my, like, things I don't really watch that much anymore. ARK, let's see what's happening with ARK. Okay, let's not see what's happening with ARK. That was not fun. Dogecoin, did the dog pop up? Damn it. Damn it. Mara actually going positive now, so would you look at that? Mara going positive. Look at that. Thing is, man, my thing is so messed up. So confused at what's happening. At this point, we just gotta shrug it off. I don't know what's going on with my little system here. Lagging and things. Does your course information only work with your MACD settings? Well, you can, I mean, Let me think about that. Does it only work with your MACD settings? If you change the MACD settings, then you are going to have to change the trading style. Okay. So currently, right now, if you notice my MACD, something that I'm doing as of right now is I'm using a 5-day moving average. Okay, so I'm using a 5-day moving average on my actual chart in here. So what I would just say to that is, where is Tesla? Okay, so Tesla, what this allows me to do is by doing this in this environment is I can see this divergence down here, see that cross on this MACD, and I can look over here and see when it gets above the 5, so I can maybe get in early. But I would tell you this is a thing you want to do if you're like a skilled, like if you've done this for a longer time. Not saying that you haven't, by the way. I don't know what your experience is, but I'm just telling you, this is what you can do. A lot of the time when it is a bear market, I will switch this back to a 9. I just like to keep it as a 5 sometimes, right? So the thing about the 9 here, so you could say like, oh, now this is where I get into the position. Oh, I lose a little bit. Boom, it comes back. So the 9 is something that you can use above the 200 and things like that. I do like it. I've used it a lot. And I also use it in a bear market as well. But sometimes I'll just switch it back to the 5 if I'm looking to get a better price, if that makes sense. Is coin going to 300? Probably, honestly. Like, I'm just going to be real about that one. Probably at this point. No, coin, daily divergence. I mean, the only thing you got going for coin is the fact that Bitcoin might see a bigger pop here if it curls up on this MACD. So that's one thing to pay attention to. I would just stick with how it is in the course. And if you want to play with getting a better position, you can switch your moving average on your actual chart to a 5. But I do give you the values I use for the MACD. So if this curls up, you can see coin get a pop. Okay, so that's one thing. But one thing I'd just be a little bit aware of. Yeah, we can talk about it later, Alan, in a one-on-one in the future. Like I said, it might take a month or so for me to get those all set up. So you just have to be weary with coin divergence up in here, right? So you have to be a little bit weary. But if Bitcoin's able to see that pop, I would assume coin is actually going higher. So that's just something to pay attention to. Coin does like to follow the price action of Bitcoin. Maybe actually coin is leading Bitcoin though, right? Seeing the Bitcoin do this, now curl up, crossed over, positive territory, boom. It's possible. But I would just say usually when Bitcoin sees strength, coin sees strength. When Bitcoin sees strength, things like Mara can see strength. So something to pay attention to there. All right, guys, I'm going to go for about 20 more minutes here. 20 more minutes. And then I am going to probably hop off, maybe go get some sleep as I'm running on about 3.5 hours over here. So you'd really like to see some strength, but actually consolidating isn't bad either. Qs probably just want to pay attention to that, but curling up, positive territory, 30-minute cross, hourly next. So now you can say hourly gives me a little bit more confidence, but we can really see how this can start to head higher into next week. I just want to see if it makes that move really fast before PCE. You know, puts might be cheap. Puts might be cheap. Let's go look. Yeah, puts might be cheap. Puts might be cheap. Gotta go too. Have a good day. Have a good day sleep. Yeah. Thank you, Alan. I really appreciate you coming by. Remember, we're going to do a breakdown before I leave, guys. So don't head out too quick, right? Smash that like button for me. Join the course while you can. Join the Patreon. Do all this stuff. Get better at trading over here. Let's see how I see things. But yeah, I'm going to do about 20 more minutes and then we'll do a full breakdown. We'll do our 15-minute breakdown, okay? Let me just go use the restroom real quick. I'm going to let you guys chill for just a moment here. And I might even look up, see what Bloomberg's talking about. If they're not talking about anything interesting, though, then I'm not going to have you guys have your ears bleed.
For Bloomberg Intelligence. Man, Deep, I mean, 1 month,
China iPhone
okay,
shipments, so this is good.
I mean, it's starting to stack up here. What are we hearing from Cupertino about China risk and opportunities for them?
I mean, right now, I think the 2 data points that we got this year, one in February from the source called Counterpoint, where they said iPhone sales were down 24% for 6 weeks. Now it's validated that they're actually down 33% for the month of February. So clearly, they have a problem both with the demand for iPhone as well as competition. I think one of the things that doesn't get as much attention right now is the fact that Huawei has a comparable phone to iPhone. And the reason they have been able to do it very quickly is because of the supply chains that Apple created in the region. So a lot of those suppliers are actually making the phone for Huawei. And they don't have to do much because Apple is at the cutting edge when it comes to the chip, the assembly. And so all the supply chains guys are actually diversifying themselves and making phones for Xiaomi, Huawei. Huawei is the notable share gainer here, but that just goes to show that they are also diversifying.
Which also goes to show why Tim Cook is in China and staying that extra day to meet with quote unquote top leadership, which everyone seems to think is Xi Jinping. What's going to be his pitch?
I mean, look, I think Apple...
Please use my phones.
Yes, and they used to have 20% revenue exposure to China. It's gone down to about 15% now. But when you think about the weight of China, both as their biggest supply chain, 95, 98% supply chain still resides in China, and 15% revenue exposure, he doesn't have a choice. And that's where he has to make sure, he's aligned with the party and, the locals, and they just want to make sure they don't end up losing share. Forget about growing in the region. It's all about keeping the shares they have right now.
I don't know the answer. I can't think of an answer for Apple, particularly on the supply chain. I can pencil out China going to close to zero in terms of sales. I could pencil that out, put a multiple on it, and there we go. There is no Apple without China in terms of supply chain. There is no Apple without that supply chain.
And for the longest time, we thought the risk for the suppliers is if Apple is not giving business to them, they don't have anything to manufacture. Well, guess what? They have, Huawei and the local guys. And so that's how they are going about the business right now.
So if I'm Tim Cook and I have seen this for years,
all right, we're
and
back.
I want to diversify my supply chain.
Did they say anything
what does that
interesting,
look
guys?
like?
Probably not. Bloomberg's kind of good a lot of the time. Okay. One thing, I had a very good idea. I almost said it. I was using the bathroom. Anyway, well, what I was going to say was, let's get out of this. Let's get out of this. Get out of this. Okay, don't get distracted, Luke. Don't get distracted. Don't get distracted. No. Okay, why do I say puts are cheap? So when volatility is lower, that means that the fear is sucked out of the market, which means everyone is banking on the upside. So then puts are usually cheap. So if I go look at, I'll pull up anything real quick. Let's just do the SPY. So I bet money that SPY puts for Friday are probably less expensive than SPY calls. Or sorry, Thursday. All right, SPY call at this level, 143. SPY put at this level, 139. You see what I'm saying? That's just for Thursday. But a put at 521, 140. A call at 522, 143. So a little, oh wait, that's a lot different last time. Yeah, I'm wrong. Am I thinking about this incorrectly? Maybe I'm thinking incorrectly. I'll get back to you on that one. Good morning, Frank. What up, Frank? But yeah, usually across the board, you'll see cheaper puts when volatility is very low because nobody's banking on volatility coming back. That's just what I'd say. Maybe it's probably based on individual stock. I have longs for AMD. Do you think it has more room to grow? I do. It's dependent on a lot of things, but as of right now, 2 hour, getting a little stronger, 30-minute, able to curl up, positive territory. I would just say if you're not a part of the Patreon, join the Patreon. It's going to give you a great target for where AMD could go by the end of this week. And if it gets up towards that area, you know to take profit. But I would say this gap fill here is plausible for the next couple of days. this gap fill, and then if we're going to see it go higher, we'll see this base out, do this. Now, there's great liquidity in here. There's great liquidity. So that's why I'm really leaning towards this actually breaking down. I think this is definitely possible because look at this liquidity in here. It's built up for so long that it might grab that on the way down. But it's like a trend more than a prescription. I'm not fully clicking on that, Jeremiah, but I believe everything that you're saying, and I do. Maybe the indexes don't follow that rule closely. Yeah, I guess I could look at like an individual stock real quick. Like look at, we could look at even NVIDIA. NVIDIA is really, really high, but maybe that's not the best one to do. Let's just do Apple. Let's see. No, it's kind of probably based on, how many puts and calls are actually behind Apple, but you have, what, 0.47 for a 172.5 call. 0.82. But that's dependent on, see, that's dependent on the price as well. It's at 170.54, so obviously it's going to be more expensive to get the one. Oh, but if you go to 167.50, it's only 20.2. So I've looked at it before. I know I've seen it in real time. It's just like it's hard to show in this moment, I think. Now, you guys want to hear my idea? You guys want to hear my I'm just gonna say it. You guys want to hear my poop epiphany? That's what we're gonna call it. It was a poop epiphany. And did I wash my hands? No. I used hand sanitizer. Come on, guys. We don't need to talk about this. This is a mature channel, okay? Who wants to hear my epiphany about one-on-ones? You do. So what I was thinking was, and tell me if you guys think this is a good idea. Tell me if it is a bad idea. Please tell me if it is a bad idea. Please. Ian, we'll go click over to NVIDIA. Still not crossing over on that 2 hour just yet. Still not crossing over as of right now. So we got to be open to some upside. Remember, this thing can curl down, curl back up. I think once it loses this level here, this one, if it gets below 930, I'm going to start saying one-on-one is good. No. I have an idea about the one-on-one. So remember, this is what we were talking about, how it would fall down. Well, if it consolidates right before that resistance or that support down in here, it could just break through. So pay attention if it stays below 930. That's really what we want to pay attention to here. But you still have this low. This could be a higher low still. So I'm paying attention if the 15-minute wants to curl up. If you want to see this curl down, I really think the confirmation is the 2 hour. The 2 hour can start to really cross down. Now, what I was saying was I want you guys to tell me if this is a good idea or a bad idea. So I thought like, obviously I want to give the one-on-ones a test run. So I thought about, maybe by the end of April, I'll give a free one-on-one to one of my Patreon members. Just like have it be random or something. Or have people like submit themselves on Patreon. So if you're a Patreon member and you just say like you're interested, we'll put you in the pool and then we'll pick one of your names. Does that sound good? That way it allows me to test out, the program, like if we use Discord or something else or whatever, however we're going to do it. And it allows me to kind of get some practice on it. Because I know working with people one-on-one, I was a trainer. I actually trained soccer for a long time. I was a personal trainer. And 3 out of the 4 people I trained are now playing with pro academy teams. So that's pretty cool. But just tell me if that sounds like a good idea. Just a simple, yeah, it's a good idea. No, bad idea. Happy Friday says it's a great idea. Maybe I could do 1 or 2 of those giveaways. Yeah, so what I'm planning on doing, how I really want to set it up is maybe, I know Discord's what I've used forever, and I don't want to make a full Discord. You guys, I have so much going on these days, It's insane. You guys think like, oh, after this, Luke's just going to go take a nap and have a great... No, it's like I have to, try to get an hour of sleep. Then the girls come home. Then I have to hang out with them for a little bit, take care of Ari so mom gets to shower and things like that. Then I have to somehow trade in between all that. So there's just a lot. But it sounds like a great idea. Okay, we're open to that. So if you do join the Patreon anytime before, we'll say the end of April, I'm going to give it a full month. And I'll put a little pinned post or something that says if you're interested in one-on-ones, just go for it. Sporting KC. Sporting KC, and one of the kids I trained actually played for the youth national team in futsal, the USA team. And that was before, that was after I trained him. He had a very, very sad thing happen to him. His family is fantastic. His mom's straight from Brazil, and fantastic kid, great head on his shoulders. That's something that I did that was very different than other personal trainers. I really went on the mentality you have to have to be, if you want to be great, you have to have a good mentality. I think I spoke with someone about that over email when we were talking about even trading. It's your mentality has to be great in order for you to get better, to continue to have that drive to get better. And that's what I worked on a lot with my kids. And I'm very glad I did, because the little boy who's playing with Sporting KC, I think he's only like 6, I think he's 17 now. I trained him when he was 13 and 14. Oh, the Timbers. His mom actually passed away in a car accident shortly after, and I didn't train him after that, but she was a wonderful lady. She would bring me food at every training. She would make sure that he's prepared mentally and everything, and that was something that was really good. And that's the kid that's doing the best, and I respect him for it. So cheers to him. Like the video for Vitor. Great kid, and his mom was a wonderful woman, and just thankful that the two little girls in the car weren't hurt. She's out there playing soccer too, her little girl. So sorry to put a downer on the stream, but I'm a person, I think it's very important to acknowledge good people while they were here and share that with you guys. Great mom, great kid, great dad. Their dad is fantastic too. Little rough. He's a little bit of a rough coach, but I'll throw some shade at him there. He yells a little too much. I don't like to yell at kids very often. I think there's always a productive way to talk to them to get a better result. But great family. But that being said, let's change the subject real quick. It's a very, very cool, great kid. Look out for him. He's probably going to be playing pro soon. And if you go watch a KC Sporting game on TV or whatever against the Timbers, you might see someone named Vitor playing for them, which would be very, very cool. And I'll go watch him play too. So if you would like to, this is a great time now to join the Patreon. I'm going to do this. I think this is smart. A lot of people said it's a great idea. No one said it's a bad idea. And I think that's a good opportunity too. So join the Patreon. There is beneficial stuff on there already, but if you join the Patreon, and I'm going to put up a post over the next couple days that just is going to be pinned to the top there, and you'll just have to say vote on it, yes or no, or something like that, or just comment your name or something like that. And we'll get a free one-on-one lesson to one Patreon member at this point. Maybe we do two. Duke. I only played D2. I went and I had trials at what was it? Or I could have gone for a trial at Rockhurst, but I didn't even go. They weren't going to give me a scholarship. Freshman of the year though, great job, Hector. So NVIDIA, this is not necessarily the structure you want to see. Now, if this is able to hold up, that would be an okay sign. But right now, you could start to drop down to lower levels with this cup and handle. So we're going to do a full breakdown right now. Let's go through everything, really see how things are shaping up going forward. We're starting to see the SPY make that move higher, getting that crossing on the MACD. So now you have the opportunity to head higher. How would that happen? Well, you have a cup and handle right here. That cup and handle could create a head and shoulders for you. So you have a kind of a double setup here. If we see that positivity come in by end of day, the Qs, you see a similar thing, right? We could get that cup and handle going by end of day. Maybe we even see that confirm a little bit on the Qs by end of day, breaking to the upside here. Might even see a gap higher going into tomorrow, so that's interesting. Let's just click on IWM. This is one that has been fading down to this level. Might be a potential 15-minute divergence down here. Little divergences in here right at the center line. See if that crosses up for IWM. Apple, this is really one to pay attention to. Divergence here, divergence here. Looks like it can pop. It's on the 30-minute as well. So did that curl over the hourly? Not yet. So those 15-minute divergences, you want to see the hourly confirm. So I know this case, we're not looking at a 2-hour. It's important to look at a 2-hour after. But if you get a good confirming bar on the 1 hour, just see that 2-hour cross. Now you can ride this thing probably up to this zone, I would say, but it looks pretty good. Tesla's starting to drop off a little bit. This was the one why you don't want to fight against that daily pressure, right? That daily momentum, because a little bit of good news when you have that daily momentum dying out, boom, you get that big move to the upside. So on the 15-minute, just look for this to consolidate. This definitely still can consolidate. I know someone said 178 is their target for this, and that can definitely happen. But if we're able to hold up above that 178 or above our weekly expected move, let's just say that to you guys real quick. If it's able to hold pretty much above 180, which is, you know, pretty much right where this breakout is, right about here. So if we can hold above 180, kind of do something like this for a little while here, even if we dip below that, we still have possible head and shoulders. So as long as this isn't going to, you know, dip really, really low, start to take this out, it could actually dip, fill this gap, and do that by the end of the week, actually. So we could see this start to sell off and form that going forward. Apple is starting to turn down a little bit here, so you want to wait for that confirmation, by the way, on the 15-minute. Amazon, this thing kind of screaming like, hey, I could be triple topping up a year on the 15-minute, but really you just see, you can kind of see the triangle that I'm about to draw if you just see it right here, you know, and then draw another one across the top here. We're just seeing we're consolidating. Maybe we just keep consolidating until Friday, and then we get that big push. So Friday could be good news. We'll look at stocks before Friday. You guys know that Thursday we'll do it. And this Friday will be different. I actually might do a stock market live on Friday, just kind of answering some basic questions or something like that, or just going through stocks for a little bit. I'll have to weigh what I want to do for Friday, or I might just put out a video during the day if I see some reactions in the market. So make sure to tune back in on Friday. Seeing that start to buzz to the upside, let's see this 30-minute. See if the 30-minute curls up, you got to say there's positivity to be had here. And if you're part of the Patreon, not only will you be thrown into the drawing to get a free one-on-one at the end of April, you'll also get to learn how to trade this type of stuff, right? Come up to this level, see if it breaks out, right? Do that type of stuff, and you'll get those weekly ranges. So those weekly ranges are going to be very important, I assume, for Amazon if it sees some positivity here as far as taking profit goes. NVIDIA, we're seeing the 30-minute dip down. This is not horrible. The only bad part here is you're seeing it kind of consolidate, almost flag right here. So you really want to see some positivity. 30-minute curls up, you're going to probably see positive. Look at this run. Right, we went over this run, and so every single time it curled up, positive tear. Well, right here, you want to see that positive trend maybe begin, because you could have just head and shoulders down from this area. So you want to just be a little careful. Maybe you just wait for this pop, and then you see, oh, here's this. Okay, it could break to the upside, curls up on the MACD, positive territory, boom, make money, see that pull back. Now we see that cross in positive territory right around here. Boom, make money. Now these are getting smaller because you're creating those divergences. So these you might want to be cautious with. But this is a good pullback, right? This is a good pullback for a 15-minute chart. Now we are losing the current trend, so you have to be aware of that. But if we curl up, we could see a positive move going into the end of the week. So still want to wait for that to curl up to the upside in order to see that upside, because if it keeps going down, the 2-hour can cross. And what does the 2-hour have? It has divergence. And a lot of the time it likes to, you know, keep that daily rolled down or rolled down that daily. So this crossing might just get rejected and we might start to head down from here if that 2 hour confirms. Not necessarily what I'm leaning towards. I'm going to remain bullish while the signals are still bullish. Once we start to break below this low, break below 930, then I'll start to be like, okay, now we can start to see that negative trend come up. AMD, we called this one really well. We said the hourly, right? So if you were here live, the hourly was about to cross over, and I said this thing needs to buy up right now. What was it? 35, 45 minutes later, boom, we see the 15-minute react to go positive here. Now you have the potential for some kind of wonky head and shoulders, some kind of, I would just say, a break to the upside above this range, right? We seem to be in some sort of range at this point. Maybe this wants to actually break to the upside. I would say this gap being filled has a good shot if we see further positivity. The 2 hour, right? This thing's been crossed for a while, so it wants to move up, but it's in negative territory. So even if we do get a reaction up, look if that has some kind of divergence behind it, because we could just roll back down negative territory, and maybe we get a bounce in the future. But as of right now, this looks pretty good. And if you look at the daily scale, right, it's beat down on the daily for quite some time. Every time this daily has curled up, we've seen huge positive moves from AMD. Who's to say? What if the 2 hour sees a bunch of strength? We start to get through this level next week, and then we see this curl up. Well, that would mean I'm going to test the closing high, and then after that, I could test the wick, and then after that, I could make a new high. So if this really wants to see that positivity, it's there. It's there to make it, and then we could probably see some kind of divergence here with those highs. So that's what I would pay attention to on AMD. Meta going forward, seeing if this thing can curl up. The thing with Meta, it's getting tight. If this curls to the upside and we see positivity come in as we are in positive territory, this could really get strong. It's beat down for a little while. It's come back for a little while. You have a little bit of room to that overbought territory to make a divergence, but we could see something like 540. Just be careful if that happens tomorrow or something, because if we get a random rapid move up, we'd be outside of the monthly, and we do land back in this monthly 68% of the time. Palo Alto, the one we haven't really talked about, but really this looks like consolidation wants to head down. I'm just going to be honest with that one. There's a little head and shoulders in here as well. Microsoft, this is one, it's like everyone's trying to trade NVIDIA, AMD, and all that. Look at this. This is a great one to start taking some plays on, because it's getting really tight, and a big move is probably coming as this thing gets tighter and tighter in this wedging. So I just noticed there's a channel and there's a wedge, and as of right now, you're wedging to the upside here, and you could see a move higher, but will that be ripped away? We want to look at a 30-minute here, about to curl up, positive territory. Does it set up some kind of divergence? And weirdly enough, this looks a lot like a bunch of other stocks we're looking at this point. So we could see that curl up, go positive. How that would happen, probably see this cup, get a handle, and then head higher going on into Thursday or something like that. If stocks look like that on Thursday, I'm going to be very worried about PCE. Google, this is one that you could look at right now. I mean, look at this triple divergence across the board on the 30-minute. Likes to roll over this 2 hour. So even though we're seeing positivity, we're seeing a 2 hour divergence, we're seeing a 30-minute divergence. And on the daily, you're about to, you're pretty much coming up to these. But if that sets up a lower high, that's kind of bad news for Google going forward. Netflix, another one. This one could curl up, go positive. We could see that positivity come in, but will that be short-lived? The 2 hour here, you're just noticing it just looks kind of wonky to me. Not necessarily the best thing to be looking at in the short term, but I would just say, it's curling up, positive territory. We can see a positive move. Maybe we get another point in divergence on the daily and the 2 hour scale. SMCI, one to pay attention to, 2 hour, able to go positive at this point. No real divergences that I've seen, no 30-minute divergence. You'll just notice we keep popping up, consolidating, popping up, consolidating. So you'd have to say if this consolidates, even comes down a little bit and then curls up positive territory, another positive move could come, kind of completing the cup right around a bunch of liquidity. So if we cup and then we consolidate, get a handle or something like that, it can head higher. Just be a little bit careful out there. You're seeing kind of mixed signals. Mara here, we just want to pay attention. We got this flagging going on. Will that start to produce something? Well, you can see this over here. We got this. Now, if we start to do something like this, we can start to head higher. So it might be an ABC move to the upside. Last thing was just volatility. Volatility. Oh, sorry, that's the dollar. Volatility. wanted to just show this, the 2 hour. This is what I've been saying, is the 2 hour curling down, creating some kind of divergence down in this area. I've said this for about a week and a half now. Said I'm looking for a 2 hour divergence down in this area to really tell me like, hey, this thing might actually start to turn the other way, get some momentum decreasing. And if I see those 2 hour divergences on individual stocks at the same time, that is a good signal for volatility to come back into this market. All right, so hopefully today was helpful for you guys. I really appreciate you guys coming by. That's my opinion on the VIX, Pablo. Hopefully that was a little bit helpful. 2 hour divergence. Is there any reason to go stay in NVIDIA calls as of right now? As of right now, I'll explain this how I talked about it earlier. Is there a reason to take a trade on NVIDIA at all as of right now? I would say it makes more sense still to take calls than to take puts. You have not started a negative trend. Yes, this is a 15-minute going negative, but look how fast that can just curl up and go positive here. Every time it's curled up, we've seen a big positive move. But I would just say there's nothing here yet that is telling me to take a trade. There's no curl up. There's no positive territory. We haven't broken this low. So even the other way, if I wanted to do the other way, we haven't lost that low. The 2 hour hasn't curled fully over yet. So there's no reason to take a trade for me either way at this point. But if this started to break down, I might dabble with it. I might look into it because there are 2 hour divergences here. But if this just wants to curl up even on a 30-minute, you see how we've kind of busted this down. We can come back up and again, maybe get to that 1,000 mark. So just pay attention. It could really go either way, but Tesla just consolidate. It needs to consolidate in this area, right? I said 180.92, really where I'd pay attention to some support coming in, and look at that, we got some support coming in. So hopefully that's helpful, but you do have that daily divergence on Tesla that could lead to some strength for a little bit of time. It could go on for another week with Tesla. Just be careful around PCE is what I said, and we'll look at that, you know, in our Thursday video. We'll look at that live on Thursday morning. That way we're not, you know, going into it blind. And we'll put a video out on Patreon as well on Wednesday or Thursday. Most likely Thursday, right before PCE. I think that would be the most beneficial, actually. So, and I'll just look at Baba real quick for you. If I can find it. Oh, Baba, what are you doing to me? Okay, Baba curling down into negative territory. This is kind of like a Wyckoff, right? You're getting the points down in here. You get the blow off to the downside, kind of a reverse Wyckoff, and you could be seeing this actually break to the upside. But you're stuck in a range. So this range here, this range down here, you break to the downside. You've built up a ton of liquidity, so I'm expecting it to get ugly. But if this wants to break to the upside, bunch of liquidity, I expect it to be pretty, right? This could be a wonky ass head and shoulders at this point. So 2 hour, not really giving me anything. Maybe this divergence down here. It's kind of flat though, so you could just like target the top side of the range if we see some positivity. 30-minute, just a divergence, so kind of widespread divergence. 15-minute, little divergence in here, not seeing that strength. So you have a little divergence right at this area, but all right, guys, so I just wanted to really say thank you guys for showing up today. Thank you for being here. Really do appreciate it. I appreciate the questions about stocks. I appreciate the questions about Patreon, about the course. And I know I've said it a bunch. I just want to remind you, you just have like 5 days left to get that for 50% off for just $100 to give it a try. Like, especially $100, it's like if it benefits you in any way, $100 is very worth it. It's $100 that could help you make your next $1,000. That's how I would say it. But remember, you only have 5 days left. It would be a great thing to get before the weekend so that you can, come into next week with a fresh start and be like, okay, now I also have a bear market strategy. If PCE is bad for the market, maybe we actually start some downtrends and we can start to see some volatility spike up with that 2 hour divergence we're looking for. So just pay attention to your charts today. If you're on Patreon, I'm going to try to post some stuff. I'm a little busy today, but I'm going to try to post some setups if I see them. Not seeing too many. I just would pay attention to Apple. Look at that. Apple, strong move. Look at that. Boom. Divergence, cross, positive territory. Now that that's crossed, I got to see if that holds for 3 minutes, but is the hourly going to cross? It already did. It just did with this same bar. So very good sign moving forward. I really appreciate you guys being here, liking, subscribing, talking with me. It is a lot of fun, and it means a lot to my family and all that. You guys know that I quit my position to help out with the baby girl, to help out around the house. So I took a different position with a startup where I'm helping them with the marketing side of things. And everything's going well. It's just I have a ton on my plate. So this is something fun I get to do. And I really appreciate you guys coming by and really, just being as interested in stocks as I am. It makes for a good day. So to end it, grab whatever you can down in the description today. Make sure to join the Patreon, as at the end of April, we will be drawing for a free one-on-one to one person on Patreon. And I just hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And I hope you have all the luck in the world trading today. Make sure that we're trading like water, do all that good stuff. You guys are doing fantastic out there. And I wish you nothing but luck moving forward. Nothing but luck. And what's a good word for it? What's a good word for it? Gratitude's one. And then the last part would be the ability to keep going, the momentum to keep going. Let's make ourselves in a positive trend, right? Let's put ourselves in a positive trend going into 2024. We're only a few months in here. We're going into another month here in a bit. So those monthly ranges are going to come out. Every single week is a new week in the market. Every single day is a new day in the market. So let's put ourselves in a positive trend. Good luck out there. Peace.